food, and customer wants to know. And packaging, right packaging and right information can enlighten the customer what he is getting, what he is eating. And I tell you, particularly in sugar perspective, for example, the packing will contain not only the nutritional fact, how that product is made, just like we try to claim untouched by hand. So our product is right from cane till the sugar is made and packed, it is untouched by hand. Purity is given and it's quite hygienic. More than that, it also helps us in traceability. There is a batch code, there is a batch number, there is expiry date. Tomorrow, God forbid, there is any problem, we can go back to the batch number and go back to the traceability of that sugar to do the root cause, to improve the product. So packing is not only the nutritional way, it's a lot of other things for the customer. What is he buying, how it is made, what does it contain, how it should be used. So and I believe these packing regulations and the labeling regulation has improved quite significantly, and they're very, very strict. The regulators take it very, very seriously.
So from the consumer's perspective, have you seen a change, a behavioral change, or in their minds, with regards to packaged food?
One thing which I realize is confusing, that people think that the packed food is hygienic. It is. That's why we have to make a difference between the two. Packed food and hygienically packed food. Right? If you are, in case of sugar, suppose if you are taking a scoop of sugar from a sack of sugar and then putting it in a packet and just sealing it, it doesn't mean that it's a hygienically packed sugar. So what you should be caring not only for the packed food, but also how it is packed. It should be hygienically packed, which is very, very important.
तो सिर्फ पैक्ड होने से फायदा नहीं है, बिल्कुल सफाई से, हाइजीनिक तरीके से पैक किया गया हो, ये बहुत जरूरी है। किस तरह से पैकिंग हुई है उसकी?
किस तरह से पैकिंग हुई है? पैकिंग करते समय कोई कंटेमिनेशन का कोई सोर्स तो नहीं है। कोई जब आप मशीन चला रहे हैं तो मशीन का कोई कंटेमिनेशन तो नहीं आ गया, कोई उसका पार्ट तो नहीं आ गया, कोई डस्ट तो नहीं आ गई, और वही सेम चीज़ें वही तो नहीं आ गई जो लूज चीनी में होती हैं। तो इट इज़ नॉट ओनली इम्पॉर्टेंट टू हैव द पैक्ड शुगर, इट इज़ very, very important to have hygienically packed.
And how do we guarantee that? That's a big question which the brands like yours, like the big brands, have to take the responsibility.
You ask it is a job. It costs money, it costs efforts, and I've seen we do follow a lot of good manufacturing practice, which includes right machinery, sieving, cleaning, magnet, and there's a whole lot of stuff. But the most important part which I see is that bringing the culture of quality, bringing the culture of purity and hygiene in the minds of everyone who is involved. Right from the producer, the packer, the guy who is transporting it, the guy who is storing in the retail shop, and so on. That's which we have been able to do very, very successfully.
मिस्टर हुसैन, आप मिनिस्ट्री ऑफ एग्रीकल्चर और फूड प्रोसेसिंग में तो रहे ही हैं, पूर्व सचिव, उसके साथ साथ आप अभी फिक्की के फूड प्रोसेसिंग कमेटी में सलाहकार हैं। तो खाने के कारोबार से जुड़े लोग, ख़ास करके जो स्मॉल प्लेयर्स हैं, उन्हें फूड पैकेजिंग रेगुलेशंस को मानने के लिए और उसे बेहतर समझने के लिए क्या कदम उठाए जा सकते हैं? तो सिर्फ पैक्ड नहीं, हाइजीनिकली पैक्ड, किस तरह से स्मॉल प्लेयर्स को भी इसमें जोड़ा जाए?
देखिए, जो स्मॉल स्केल इंडस्ट्री है फूड प्रोसेसिंग में, वो बहुत बड़ी है। पूरे देश में अगर हम देखें तो यानी कि एग्रीकल्चर के बाद वो बहुत बड़ा एम्प्लॉयमेंट प्रोवाइडर है फूड प्रोसेसिंग इंडस्ट्री। और ये बात सही है कि जो बहुत छोटे लेवल की इंडस्ट्री है उनकी पैकेजिंग प्रैक्टिसेस उतने हाई लेवल की नहीं हैं जो बहुत ऑर्गेनाइज्ड इंडस्ट्री की या लिस्टेड कंपनीज की हैं। लेकिन फिर भी अगर हम उसको लूज फूड से कंपेयर करें, जो लूजली सोल्ड फूड आइटम्स हैं, तो पैकेजिंग से उसकी सेफ्टी और उसकी हेल्थ और हाइजीन बहुत इम्प्रूव हो जाती है। इस वक्त जो मेन प्रॉब्लम फूड प्रोसेसिंग इंडस्ट्री के सामने है, जैसा कि मैंने पहले बताया, वो फ्रंट ऑफ पैक लेबलिंग के बारे में है। तो जो बहुत स्मॉल स्केल इंडस्ट्री है वो ये कहती है कि अगर बहुत ऑनरस गवर्नमेंट के रेगुलेशंस होंगे तो हम उसको मीट नहीं कर पाएंगे। अभी देखिए, पिछले हफ्ते गवर्नमेंट ने, मिनिस्ट्री ऑफ हेल्थ ने ये ऑर्डर्स जारी किए हैं कि जितने भी रिटेलर्स हैं, स्कूल हैं, कॉलेजेस हैं, वो अपने यहाँ ये इंफॉर्मेशन लगाएं कि उसमें कितनी शुगर है, कितनी फैट है, वगैरह वगैरह। तो ये बहुत ज़रूरी है अगर हमें अपने लोगों की हेल्थ को मेंटेन करना है, उन्हें डायबिटीज़ से, हाई ब्लड प्रेशर से और लाइफस्टाइल बीमारियों से बचाना है। तो लोगों तक ये इंफॉर्मेशन पहुंचाना जरूरी है कि किस फूड आइटम में क्या चीज है। और स्मॉल स्केल इंडस्ट्री ऑलरेडी इन रेगुलेशंस को मीट कर रही है, लेकिन रेगुलेशंस और उसका एक्सपेंडिचर और उसकी ऑनरस जो क्वालिटी है उसके बीच में एक बैलेंस जरूरी है, और एफएसएसआई कोशिश करता है कि उस बैलेंस को मेंटेन किया जाए।
जी जी। So Dr. Swati, looking ahead, how can we encourage the switch from loose to hygienically packed? What role can doctors play there?
See, absolutely, we can play a big role, because eventually all the diseases come to us, and a lot of these foodborne diseases that are there, you know, people, young kids, pregnant females, elderlies, they're coming us with typhoid, hepatitis, food poisoning and all that. So we do emphasize the fact onto our patients also that, you know, if you're not consuming hygienic food, then this is where your disease is coming from. बट सबसे ज़रूरी चीज़ जो है वो है जागरूकता। लोगों के अंदर जागरूकता होनी ज़रूरी है कि आप अखबार में कोई चीज़ नहीं खाने की लेंगे, आप ऐसी चीज़ों में खाना नहीं लेंगे जिनमें कि इंक्स यूज़ होती है।
सॉरी, मैं आपको इंटरप्ट कर रही हूँ। मैंने देखा है कि पॉलिथिन्स, लूज पॉलिथिन्स में लोग चाय लेके आते रहते हैं।
और आप जब इस तरह की चीज़ों को यूज़ करें, जैसे आपने बोला कि पॉलिथीन में आप गर्म चाय लेकर के जा रहे हैं, तो आप चाय में ही जहर पी रहे हैं। पहली बात ये आपके लिए समझना बहुत ज़रूरी है। दूसरा, जितने भी आप इस तरह के खाने खा रहे हैं जो कि हाइजीनिकली, देखिए मक्खियाँ आपने देखी हैं खाने के ऊपर भिन भिनाती हैं, कॉकरोच हैं, चूहे हैं, तरह तरह के ऐसे, और ये जो चीज़ें हैं ये सब भी अपने ऊपर बैक्टीरिया लेके घूम रहे होते हैं, तो वो बैक्टीरिया वो खाने में पास ऑन कर देते हैं, और जब आप उस खाने को खाते हैं तो आप बीमार पड़ते हैं। इसलिए हमें ये, जहाँ हमारे लिए न्यूट्रिशनल वैल्यू, हमारे लिए ये चीज़ ज़रूरी है कि हम क्या ख़रीद रहे हैं, वही हमारे लिए ये भी ज़रूरी है कि हम जो ख़रीद रहे हैं वो हाइजीनिक है। तो हम ऐसी जगह से या ऐसी चीज़ में उस खाने को नहीं ले रहे हैं कि हमें उससे आगे चल के हार्ट अटैक हो रहा है, डायबिटीज़ हो रहा है, कैंसर हो रहा है। अगर आप देखें कि सिंगल यूज़ प्लास्टिक का इतना ज़्यादा इस्तेमाल पैकेजिंग में हो रहा था, जो कि बिल्कुल बैन है, जिसका इस्तेमाल होना ही नहीं चाहिए। बच्चों में, इन्फेंट्स में 2008 में बहुत सारे बच्चों में किडनी डैमेज हुआ था, क्योंकि तब जो है इस तरह का प्लास्टिक मटेरियल यूज़ किया गया था जो कि उनके खाने में, उनका जो दूध होता है बच्चों का, इन्फेंट्स का, उसमें लीच हो रहा था, और उसकी वजह से बच्चों की किडनी डैमेज हो गया।
very serious.
Exactly.
Criminal negligence then.
बिल्कुल। तो ये पैकेजिंग मटेरियल भी उतना ही इम्पोर्टेंट है जितना कि हम जो खाना खरीद रहे हैं वो, ताकि जो आप खाना खरीद रहे हैं उसकी न्यूट्रिशनल वैल्यू प्रिजर्व्ड रहे, उसमें कोई कंटामिनेंट नहीं हो। कई बार आप देखते हैं खाने के अंदर फुई लग गई है, जिसे हम फंगस बोलते हैं, तो ये सब चीज़ें अंदर मॉइस्चर नहीं जाए। और एक बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट चीज़ जो आपको देखनी है, शेल्फ लाइफ, एक्सपायरी डेट, कब तक के लिए आपका खाना अच्छा है,
इसलिए भी पैकेजिंग ज़रूरी है,
ध्यान बहुत ज़रूरी है।
पैकेजिंग इसलिए भी बहुत ज़रूरी है क्योंकि उसके ऊपर एक्सपायरी डेट तो ज़रूर होती है, और कोई भी पैकेज खाना लेने के पहले वो ज़रूर देखना है कि इस शेल्फ लाइफ क्या है खाने की। मिस्टर गुप्ता, वेयर डू ब्रांड्स कम इन एनकरेजिंग द स्विच फ्रॉम लूज टू हाइजीनिकली पैक्ड? लाइक आपने अभी भी बात की ना कि सिर्फ पैक्ड नहीं, ऐसे है ना, पैक्ड तो अखबारों में भी पैक्ड है, पॉलिथिन में भी पैक्ड है, बट नॉट जस्ट पैक्ड, हाइजीनिकली पैक्ड। सो एज अ ब्रांड टू काइंड ऑफ टॉक अबाउट इट and make people aware of it.
देखिए, फूड सेफ्टी एंड हाइजीन किसी भी वर्ग के कंज्यूमर हो, अमीर हो या गरीब हो, सबके लिए ही ज़रूरी है। और इसकी कॉस्ट जो है वो बहुत भयंकर है। WHO की अगर आप स्टडी मानेंगे तो 10 में से 1 व्यक्ति बीमार होता है हर साल बिकॉज ऑफ अनहाइजीनिक एंड अनसेफ फूड, राइट? देयर इज़ अ कॉस्ट इन्वॉल्व। तो इसका अवेयरनेस सिर्फ ब्रांड का नहीं, बल्कि सब लोगों का एक ड्यूटी है कि कस्टमर को इसके बारे में और ज़्यादा से ज़्यादा अवेयर किया जाए कि क्यों लूज़ जो है फूड प्रोडक्ट अच्छे नहीं है, क्यों अनसेफ प्रोडक्ट अच्छे नहीं है, और इसको कंज्यूम करने से जितनी थोड़ी बहुत आप कॉस्ट ज़्यादा देते हैं उससे कहीं ज़्यादा कॉस्ट लग जाती है अगर आप बीमार हो जाते हैं।
जी जी।
तो ये अवेयरनेस सभी को देना ज़रूरी है। इसमें चाहे कॉरपोरेट्स हों, चाहे FSSAI हो, चाहे कंज्यूमर ऑर्गेनाइजेशन हो, चाहे NGOs हों, चाहे हेल्थ के लोग हों, सबको ये बात जो है कस्टमर्स के दिमाग में लाना बहुत बहुत ज़रूरी है। और इंडिया का जो फूड सेक्टर है वो बहुत इनफॉर्मल है, यू नो, सो इन इंडिया दिस नीड्स टू बी टोल्ड अगेन एंड अगेन। एज फार एज हाउ डू वी कम्युनिकेट टू द कस्टमर्स, हमारा स्लोगन ही लूज नहीं मधुर सही है, दैट यू नो वी स्टार्ट विद दैट एंड we make a lot of information where we show how the loose food is prone to be contaminated. I'm not saying it's contaminated, it's prone to be contaminated. So, and we are seeing a very good consumer response to that, and consumer is becoming more and more aware, and he's ready to opt for and make a choice of a packed food which is safe for him.
And the solution is this: spreading awareness through doctors, through brands, and through media, you know, that how it is not just packed but hygienically packed, and that's what we started with. सिर्फ पैक्ड नहीं, हाइजीनिक भी. बहुत बहुत शुक्रिया रवि जी आपका, स्वाति आपका और सिराज हुसैन आपका हमारे साथ शामिल होने के लिए, to involve and engage in this very, very important conversation, that how important it is for your food to be not just packed but hygienically packed. Thank you for watching.
Air Chief Marshal confirms that Indian Air Force hit 6 Pakistani jets during Operation Sindur. The Air Chief also says that he couldn't convince our own. His comments have triggered a massive political storm. A massive rally in Kolkata on the occasion of 1 year of that Kolkata RG Kaur gang rape case. Sharad Pawar backs Rahul Gandhi on the vote theft row. He says there should be a probe and the Election Commission must answer.
Presented by Canara Bank. Together we can. NDTV 24/7 is India's #1 English news channel on YouTube. Credible, compelling, always ahead of the curve. Thank you for choosing NDTV 24/7 as your trusted source for news.
Mohit, you are known for your music. All your films, musics stay with us till today. I'm a millennial and those music are kind of music. So whenever we say Mohit Suri film aa raha hai, we know the music will be good, right? It's a given. So you really work hard. But is this always like how you create your music? You need everything in place, the mood, the lighting, even when the person is in the studio and just singing. And also, how did you select your musicians that this person's voice is perfect for this song?
You know, that's what I think, you know, the amount you give to a song, that's how long it will last, I think. Everyone does the programming, everyone writes the words, everyone makes the thing. But the thing is how much you give, how much of heart you give to the lyrics or to the music or to the melody or to the singing. That's how long the song will last, is what I genuinely feel. If you don't give that love, you're not going to get it back. It's just a simple debit and credit procedure, I think, with the audience. I genuinely feel I don't have any special skill. I don't know any scale or anything else. It's just that I enjoy that process a lot. Give me an evening to just go for a film party or something, I'll skip it. But you give me like a struggling musician to go who has a great tune, some new guys, chill all night with them. I can do that. I can just sit there, make music and stuff like that. We just did that recently. Fahim came down. He just surprised us, and we met in my Bandra office, and Ahan was there, Aneet was there, and he made me hear his other songs and stuff like that. But it was it's so much fun, because I just think making music, I mean, film, you still get to see something. Yeah. I think music is so amazing. I mean, you don't need to see anything. It's in the air, and suddenly it just comes together, and it's just, you can just feel it. And something you hear makes you feel something. It's just magical.
Vanakkam Tamil Nadu. Well, the battle for Tamil Nadu 2026 is open now. After Chief Minister Stalin rolls up his sleeves and Vijay steps in as a star challenger.
This is a mass gathering, not for cash.
Meanwhile, a former Chief Minister, Edapadi Palanisamy, begins his fight back.
The big comeback campaign by EPS has well and truly begun.
These are all the ultimate players, and this is going to be the ultimate test.
Is your business future ready? Join the 13-week strategic ESG certification program for business sustainability and growth for CXO and business leaders by NDTV, Terry and Zenora. Master global ESG frameworks, gain real-world tools and lead with impact. Starts August the 23rd. Enroll now and power your business with sustainability.
The markets move fast.
And so should your portfolio. Expert insights, real-time stock picks.
Do I buy Ola?
Should I hold CDSL for the long term?
Buy, sell or hold.
The answers you need, straight from the experts.
Callers from India and across the world. Connect live, ask, decide and invest wisely.
Your portfolio, your future. Ask Profit.
Rajasthan is history, culture, and much more. And I have been reporting on all things royal for more than 25 years.
The colors, the culture, and the complexities of the Northeast is different from the rest of the country. I have been bringing the Northeast closer to the capital for over 15 years. Madhya Pradesh is the heart of India, and I have been capturing its every beat for over 10 years, covering the corridors of power, what is said, what is left unsaid, and what it actually means for you and me. I have it all covered.
Kashmir is often called paradise on earth, a region that has been in a state of flux from conflict to India's crowning glory. I have been reporting and decoding Jammu and Kashmir for last 3 decades.
A big news break on NDTV. Air Chief Marshal confirms that the Indian Air Force hit 6 Pakistani jets during Operation Sindur. This is the first formal confirmation of jets shot down by India. Meanwhile, politics erupts over the Indian Air Force chief's statement. The IAF chief says that he could not convince our own, and that statement has triggered a political storm. The BJP has chipped in, says that the Congress mocked the armed forces, and will Rahul Gandhi now apologize? The RG Kaur protest march turns. Violent protesters clash with the police. Police lathi charge the protesters. RG Kaur victim's mother was also injured in that lathi charge. Sharad Pawar backs Rahul Gandhi on the vote theft row. Sharad Pawar seeks a probe. He says that the Election Commission must answer. For the latest on the rescue operations taking place in Uttar Kashi after the flash floods, NDTV is at ground zero in Dharali. It is the first and the only channel at the flash flood epicenter. Hello and welcome. You're watching NDTV 24/7. I'm Osama Shab. NDTV is tracking the big breaking news. The Air Chief Marshal, Amarpreet Singh, he has made the first official confirmation of the damage caused to the Pakistani air assets. The Indian Air Chief, he has confirmed that India hit 6 Pakistani jets, destroyed 5 Pakistani fighter jets, and he in fact also praised the S-400 air defense system. In fact, this marks one of the first major disclosures about the damage inflicted by the Indian Armed Forces during the Operation Sindur. Remember, after the deadly Pahalgam terror attack, in retaliation, the Indian Armed Forces launched Operation Sindur during the early hours of May 7th and also hit terrorist infrastructure in Pakistan as well as in Pakistan-occupied Kashmir. In fact, two of the areas that that the Air Chief Marshal had mentioned. One of them is Jacobabad airfield, where half of the F-16 hangar was destroyed. That also includes the damage that was caused to the F-16 fighter jets. As far as the other airbase is concerned, that is the Bhulari airbase, the Air Chief Marshal mentioned that one F-16 was destroyed and one AWACS jet was destroyed as well in that particular attack.
The SAGW systems, mostly from, I'm talking about fighter aircraft are from S-400. We have at least 5 fighters confirmed killed and 1 large aircraft, which could be either an Elint aircraft or an AWNC aircraft, which was taken out at a distance of about 300 kilometers. This is the actually largest ever recorded surface-to-air kill that we can talk about. And apart from, of course, there are a large number of UAVs, drones. There are some of their missiles which have fallen in our territory. We have recovered a lot of wreckage from this, which now is being studied so that we can make out what did they do, where were they launched from, what route did they follow, what kind of system do they have, whether they have, what generation those systems belong to, what all features do they have. So that study is going on, and it is going on even in coordination with DRDO. There was very clear political will, very clear directions which were given to us, and there were no kind of restrictions which were put on it. There have been talks about, was there any restriction, were you kept constrained? If there were any constraints, they were self-made. We, the forces, decided what will be our rules of engagement. We, the forces, decided what will be the escalation ladder that we want to ride on. We decided how we want to control the escalation. So I want to make it very clear, there were no, I repeat, no restrictions on us. Full freedom was given to us to plan and execute. I must say that, that our attacks have been calibrated because we wanted to be mature about it. A little bit on that I'll come to later. There was synchronization between forces. All 4 of us, CDS, the 3 chiefs. I must say here that the post of CDS has made a difference there. He was there always to get us together, discuss things out, iron things out. NSA played a very, very big role, in getting all the other agencies and forces together. I can say that it was, more of the high-tech war which was fought. In about 88, 90 hours of war, we were able to achieve, so much of damage to their system that it was very clear in their mind that in this current situation, if they continue, they are going to continue paying for it more and more. So they have come forward and sent a message again through DGMO कि हम बात करना चाहते हैं, and which was accepted from our side.
Well, let's also try and understand the significance of this statement by the IAF chief. How should one be looking at this particular statement? The Indian Air Force chief, he has in fact broken his silence. He has, and in doing so, he has basically rewritten the narrative on one of the most high-stakes aerial confrontation that has taken place in the last couple of decades. India's Operation Sindur. On Pakistan air bases and the terrorist hideouts in Pakistan as well as in Pakistan-occupied Kashmir. And this is for the first time that the IAF chief, he has given us hard numbers. It is for the first time that the IAF chief has provided the specifics of how many aircrafts were downed, what all were the targets, and how many kills did the IAF make. It has also, in fact, silenced those who are obsessed with the Indian Air Force losses. Remember, there have been a lot of conversation around how many jets India lose, were there casualties There have been conversations around this topic on inside the parliament, outside the parliament, the opposition attacking the government responding as far as this. There have been statements by the CDS as well before that, but this particular statement by the Indian Air Force Chief, it in fact in a way silences all those people who are obsessed with those losses. In fact, what the IAF chief has also done is that he has debunked the entire narrative that the Indian Air Force their hands were tied. What the IAF chief has said that it was he had the full freedom from the government, he had the full go-ahead from the government, and it was only self-restraint that the armed force and especially the Indian Air Force followed. So this entire narrative of whether the IAF their hands were tied or not, that gets completely debunked. The statement also in a way sets the stage for counter-escalation in the parliament, and this is important because the monsoon session that is going to happen, and this is where all the political stakes are high at the moment, and perhaps in one of the most decisive manner, the Indian Air Force Chief has set that stage for that counter-escalation that is going to take place in the parliament. In fact, more importantly, and this is the most important part about the IAF chief's statement, is the fact that he has in a way destroyed that entire narrative of disinformation that was set by Pakistan on the Indian Air Force losses. Remember, Pakistan on multiple occasions on international platforms had mentioned that look, we had downed multiple aircrafts of Indian Air Force, and this particular statement by the Indian Air Force Chief, that has basically put a stop on that narrative. Remember, there are a lot of political reactions that are also coming in, and that is also going to be one part of this entire fallout of this particular statement by the Indian Air Force. In fact, a lot of reactions have been coming in. The BJP, it basically asks Rahul Gandhi that will Rahul Gandhi, after speaking about all of this, will Rahul Gandhi now apologize to the country? And the more important point is that will Rahul Gandhi be able to manage and dodge this strike from the opposition? The chief, the Indian Air Force Chief has in fact, it has basically debunked a lot of theories that were floating, and something that the opposition were also picking up and trying to escalate, trying to attack the government over that issue. Now, at the same time, the Air Chief says that we knew our achievements, and although we knew about our achievements and the kind of damage that we inflicted on Pakistan, we could not convince our own. And that is something that is quite significant, because this now lays the foundation for the government to attack the opposition, who have been floating this idea that, look, we had lost a number of aircrafts, India had lost a number of aircrafts. And this statement by the Indian Air Force Chief, that has put a stop and in fact debunked that entire theory.
पहले 100% पॉलिटिकल विल होनी चाहिए, और दूसरा, अगर आप सेना का प्रयोग करना चाहते हो तो आपको फुल फ्रीडम ऑफ ऑपरेशन देना पड़ेगा। जनरल मानेकशॉ ने इंदिरा गांधी जी से कहा कि मैं ऑपरेशन गर्मी में नहीं कर सकता हूं, नहीं करूंगा, मुझे 6 महीने चाहिए। इंदिरा गांधी जी ने उन्हें कहा आपको 6 महीने चाहिए, 1 साल चाहिए, जितना भी आपको समय चाहिए आप लीजिए, क्योंकि आपको फ्रीडम होनी चाहिए, फ्रीडम ऑफ एक्शन आपको होना चाहिए।
but there was political will. I'm being very, very candid here, very open here, because I hear various versions of it. I think if I tell you something, people will have to believe, because I was there listening to everybody, attending every meeting. There was very clear political will, very clear directions which were given to us, and there were no kind of restrictions which were put on it. If there were any constraints, they were self-made. We, the forces, decided what will be our rules of engagement. We, the forces, decided what will be the escalation ladder that we want to ride on. We decided how we want to control the escalation. So I want to make it very clear, there were no, I repeat, no restrictions on us. Full freedom was given to us to plan and execute.
All right, we can continue to bring you more exclusive details on what the Indian Air Force Chief, Air Chief Marshal AP Singh has had to say. 6 Pakistani aircraft were downed by the Indian Air Force in the air. One of them was likely an airborne early warning and control system aircraft, a flying radar as it were, a Swedish area which looks like this, but 5 of them were fighter jets, and there were at least another AWACS, possibly a platform identical to this, which was knocked out on the ground as a result of the Indian Air Force's ground strikes. But we've got many more images coming up as well. But just in terms of the images that you see over here, this is important because some of these are being presented for the first time. This is actually targeting information, where you see targeting information from a sensor. Zoom in on this, please. Targeting information from a sensor of the Indian Air Force, which was used, right, of a radar site in Arifwala in Pakistan. Zoom in over here, please. If we can just zoom in over here, you can see that this is what the Indian Air Force was trying to get. This is the mast of the radar, as I understood, the head of the radar, right? This is what they were targeting. This is the actual targeting symbology. I don't know which system was actually used over here, right? Perhaps a loitering drone, perhaps something else. Now, come over here. This is what it looked like before the attack took place, right? Zoom into the image on the top. This is that radar head that I've been talking about. This is what it looked like before the attack took place, right? And now look at what it looks like over here after it was damaged post an attack. This entire area over here, this is relatively low resolution footage, but it has been released by the Indian Air Force Chief today. This is what has been damaged. So this is absolutely huge in terms of new evidence which has emerged. We've not seen these images with such clarity earlier on. Let's move to another one. This is the radar in Chunia. Again, this is a much more clear image. This radar head has been destroyed after an attack. This is the head of the radar. The Indian Air Force says that there are burn marks over here which indicate that this was destroyed. These are absolutely essential in Pakistan's air defense network. If you're taking out radars in the manner in which the Air Force has, that's huge. This is a new image. Let's move to some of the other areas over here. This was the Noor Khan Air Force Base, which the Indian Air Force struck. Let's move to the next one, because this isn't particularly relevant to what the Air Force Chief had to say. This is the Rahim Yar Khan. Again, we've had images which NDTV has brought our viewers of this before and after images of the attack itself with damaged buildings. Move to the next picture, please. The runway over here has been deeply problematic. Can we freeze this image and not move it so that I can talk over it for a second? Right. Now, Bholari, this is critical, and this is essential for what the Indian Air Force Chief said. First, let's look at this part of the screen. This is a hangar for an aircraft over here, right? This is the hangar of an aircraft over here. This is the Bholari Air Force Base. This is before the attack took place. This is before the attack took place. You can see this entire hangar, green colored, intact. And these were images which we were the first to bring you on NDTV of this having been destroyed. It is believed, per the Indian Air Force Chief and the Indian Air Force today, that there was one more airborne warning and control systems aircraft, an AWACS platform, which was inside this and which was destroyed. Remember, the Chinese have Swedish-made AWACS platforms. They've also got older Chinese ones, but one more was destroyed over here. Why are we focusing so much on airborne warning and control systems, because these are absolutely essential for any Air Force. These are critical because they are expensive, they control the airspace in terms of the information they process, they provide targeting information to aircraft, they peep into Indian airspace to see what our assets are, and therefore the loss of two of these potentially, right, one in the air, if and one on the ground. It could be an electronic intelligence aircraft which is also destroyed in the ground. He said it's either an AWACS in the air or an ELINT platform in the air. But assuming it's two, an AWACS there and an AWACS here, this was an AWACS base, then that's absolutely, that's a shattering loss for the Pakistan Air Force. Let's move to some of the other images. This is an image which NDTV actually brought our viewers first. This is a close-up of Jacobabad. This more than half, approximately half of this has been destroyed, this particular hangar, and it's believed that F-16 aircraft may have been over here. There are F-16 aircraft which the Pakistanis had under maintenance, which the Indian Air Force chief suggested had been damaged. Now, whether damaged or destroyed, frankly, in something like this to get them flying once again, it's unlikely. Do we have more images? We've got Sukur. And we've got our own images here. Let's freeze this image over here so that I can actually explain what it is that is taking place over here. There are two sets of images over here, one of a radar site and one of a UAV hangar. Let's talk, and these are new images of the radar site in Sukur which was attacked. So this is the UAV or the drone hangar over here. Let's zoom in over here, and underneath this is a radar site. We'll talk about the UAV hangar in a little while from now, but let's focus on this drone hangar, this radar site, because we haven't done that so far. This image in the bottom shows what it looks like, and this is relatively low grade footage before the attack, and then after the attack, it's burnt. You can see it's charred. So the Air Force believes that this was a successful attack. Let's go back over here. That radar site, you can see that this is the normal color of what it used to be. Zoom in once again over here. Sushil, if you just, yeah, so that's the one, right? Now let's move to this particular area post the attack, and you'll see that it's charred, it's burnt. So for the first time, you've got this imagery of the attack on Sukur, the radar site over there. Now I was talking about the UAV site. Let's take a look at this drone site on the UAV site, also called drones, of course, unmanned aerial vehicles. There were two hangars over here. This is what it was before the attack. And these were images that NDTV brought our viewers first. This is Sukur. This comes from the chief's presentation, which took place after. This is the result of the attack. This entire surface structure has been leveled. As you can see, it's been flattened. And there is evidence of fires over here, right, as a result of the explosion. Let's go to some of the other images. All right. Okay, so we've got our panelists with us at this stage. I'm joined by General KJS Dhillon. Thanks very much for being with us. Air Marshal Sanjeev Kapoor also with us, and Dr. M.J. Augustine. Vinod, he's been a group captain, fighter pilot as well. Wing Commander Gitanjali Singh as well with us. Thank you all very much for being with us. Let me go across to General Dhillon first. And of course, Shiv, my friend, with us also. General Dhillon, there was a certain narrative, right, on the relative success of Op Sindur. People went on and on about India having lost platforms. The IF, by and large, kept its mouth shut. Today, several months later, the Indian Air Force chief has said very clearly that the Pakistanis lost 6 aircraft in the air and some aircraft on the ground as well. How has that entire narrative been turned upside down?
Good evening, and good evening to all the good friends on the panel and your viewers. Operation Sindur and who won, who lost how many aircrafts and not. The game was not being played on the borders of India and Pakistan. It was a strategy game being played whether the Russian weapon systems, India joint venture weapon systems, Indian weapon systems, and French weapon systems. Did they win against Chinese weapons? Turkish weapons, and for that matter, even the F-16s. Now, whosoever would be declared a winner or a narrative will be established, that party would get all the orders from the third world countries' defense forces. So narrative which was coming out so far was that Indian, Russian and French weapons were not good enough, and it is the Chinese, Turkish and the Western Bloc weapons which have proved better. We must understand, and the viewers must know, this is the first time in the history of the world that two nuclear powers have come to war with each other. And this is also first time in the history of war, a world, as the air chief said today, within 88 to 90 hours, one of the nuclear power, which was supported by the other nuclear power, came to its knees. The air force was totally grounded. The air defense was totally impregnable, totally breachable. And we could, on the third day of the battle, we could hit 11 of the targets on ground with impunity, with precision, and not a single projectile or missile or other ones of ours were intercepted by the Pakistani air defense or air force. Now, that is how a nuclear power was brought down to the knees. But this narrative does not suit certain blocs, especially in the West. Hence, the narrative came of India down with 5 jets. Where are the videos? Where are the photographs? Our air chief has brought it out so clearly in the visuals. Our DGMOs and air operations and the naval operations briefings have been giving the live feed and the live results of the battle on every evening. Now, this battle today is not fought in the olden days times. It is in our drawing rooms. And as regards why so late, this question will also be asked. It is generally an honor code that you don't come out with the losses or the results because the enemy would come to know your capabilities.
Right.
If we say that this was lost, this was how we hit, he would know our capabilities and he would prepare himself in future. But since the forces were forced to give out the losses with the images, that is how today Air Chief came on in the open and declared to the world and showed the videos and the images to prove what India has done and how many losses Pakistan has suffered. And now I think the Western Bloc's narrative would fall flat.
All right. Shiv, let's look at this from a political standpoint, because one of the key points mentioned by Rahul Gandhi in Parliament was that the armed forces were restrained. The Air Force was restrained. He quoted what had been said by a defense attaché in Indonesia. He was referring, I think, to what the Chief of Defense Staff had also said, but perhaps in a somewhat different context. Do we have Shiv? Can we get Shiv back up? All right. So, Shiv, my question to you is, how does that entire narrative of the armed forces or the Air Force, their hands being bound, fall flat in the context of what the Chief said today?
I think the Air Chief today fired a BrahMos into that narrative. That's the best way I can put it. The entire idea that the Air Force's hands were tied, was buffoonish from the start. The Air Force doesn't operate with its hands tied. The Air Force operates on an escalatory matrix where fighter pilots, who are some of the bravest people in the world, get up into hostile airspace with the full knowledge that they might be shot down in order to, really, really spoil someone else's day. And to only land back and see that the leader of the opposition has been peddling this idea that their hands were tied, that Pakistan was pre-warned, that there was some sinister either incompetence or some devilish design, by the Indian government as far as this punitive action was concerned, was preposterous to most people. But in a noisy democracy, obviously such suggestions have taken root. And I think I can say that as a defense reporter, as a war reporter, I don't want to get too much into the politics of it. The politics will continue. The stupid questions will continue. The tamasha and the crossfire will continue. But I am honestly very, very glad tonight, Vishnu, that it is no less than the Chief of the Air Staff. Not BJP, not minister, not mantri, not speaker, not somebody else, but the Chief of the Air Staff, the guy in the hot seat, the man commanding the warfighters, the man to whom the pilots report to, the man to whom our radar controllers, targeting professionals report to. He is standing there, not via sources, not by some document, not via a press release, but in a a memorial lecture that the entire world was watching, he says, it is a pity that I have to convince my own people, and that there is no question that my hands were tied. We were doing this of our own volition. We had total political will above our heads. We were given total freedom of operations. This is part of the tactical decision making that we take. Nobody enters a war with all guns blazing, with nuclear missiles firing. And this is obviously something that is not sexy enough, maybe, for the political discourse to understand. And therefore, it was taken up by Rahul Gandhi and the others. But I think among the many other difficult questions that could perhaps have been asked, the tiger with its hands tied was the silliest, most juvenile kind of narrative that was being peddled. And I am glad tonight that it was no less than the air chief who has debunked it.
Air Marshal Kapoor, what does it mean for India that we've got a surface-to-air missile system which is capable of intercepting Pakistani aircraft 300 kilometers away?
I covered on your channel earlier for the benefit of your viewers. I'll repeat again. The credit for S-400s being in our service today largely goes to late Dr. Manohar Parrikar, who at that stage was the Raksha Mantri in 2018. And there was a lot of hue and cry in the parliament at that stage when about 35,000 crores worth of S-400s was to be purchased. And there was a cry that we could make roads and bridges with this mark. But this platform, this air defense equipment, long-range surface-to-air missile system has been exceptional to us. We have got 3 of these. And the US, if I recall, had put CATSA sanctions threat to us at that stage. And this aircraft is capable of, taking out UAVs, cruise missiles, drones, aircrafts from the range of 5 meters to 30 kilometers. And this experience has brought us very close to us developing our own air defense system called Kusha. The DRDO is developing on the lines of S-400 our own air defense equipment called Kusha. So this, like in rugby game, has acted as a defender to protect us in this 4-day or 88 hours war. And one more point which General Dhillon just pointed out is that it is the first time that the Chinese weapons were used in any conflict. And it is the first time that Indian modified and indigenous weapons were used in any conflict. And both these results have rattled the West because of our own, you can say, jugaad, integration, our own engineers, scientists, people working behind the scenes to amalgamate S-400 with our IACCS, sure, Akash and other equipment is phenomenal. It's phenomenal.
Wing Commander Gitanjali Singh, China operates the S-400. They were providing information to Pakistan on a real-time basis. They would obviously have sounded out Pakistan on the capabilities of the system itself. Despite this, Pakistan was unable to defend itself against this weapon system. It just shows serious capability, doesn't it? That Pakistani aircraft are being targeted moments after they take off because of the range of the radars of the system and of the missiles itself. They take off and they get sent down.
Yes, indeed, Vishnu. Not just this, even on ground, like it has been very clearly covered also today, that how many targets on ground have been taken out. So I would again say that, this is a very, very strategically executed mission, amalgamated with all the intelligence agencies, all services, and the int that we have had. See, operating system is a thing, but experiencing and exploiting the capabilities of the system is a big and a huge thing. Over in this conflict or in the mission in the 88 to 90 hours that the chief has brought out, we have exploited our own capabilities. How we have beautifully integrated all int as well as systems being radars, whether the fighters, as well as the missile systems that we've had. So this is a beautiful integration of all the systems that we've had. Secondly, a very important thing here, the political will. It comes out very categorically and very, I will say very boldly, it's pointed out in this whole conflict that there has been a will. That is how things have moved. And that is how, and where we have drawn lines This is where and how we want to execute, and this is where we'll stop. So that has been very categorically conveyed through the mission. So I will say that having a system is one thing, but yes, exploiting, utilizing it, it depends upon the, I will say, the capabilities of the operators, the trainers, the training system which has been going in the organization itself.
Group Captain Vinod, how significant is it that the Indian Air Force Chief didn't fall into a narrative trap? He was not getting into knee-jerk reactions. He didn't even come out with all these details before the Parliament session. He wasn't obliged to. He's not a politician. He chose a time and place of his choice before he came out with this. Let's face it, many of these talk shops or lecture sessions are incredibly boring. But on an occasion like this, to come out with this dhamaka on a Saturday, it just goes to show that he had the information. He was under zero pressure from the government, from Pakistan, or from anybody else to release it, and he's done it today. That's interesting.
Absolutely, Vishnu, and thank you for having me over and meeting after a long time. But see, with Air Marshal talking about it, and then he said so very, very clearly. When I come and say, I say it with zero pressure, like you correctly said, and he's the one who has been critical of the systems of HAL, and we have heard it and played it ad nauseum on our channel as well. We have discussed with you all on many occasions. See, what really comes out loud and clear, Vishnu, is the strategic deterrence message. That is what needs to be understood very, very clearly. IAF is signaling that Pakistani airspace is penetrable from standoff ranges. Erstwhile, we did not have it. Balakot, I was a director at that time, and the Balakot ghost, as he called it, that time we didn't have very much of images to show. Every day we used to, walk into South Block and North Block and talk about it. But they would ask us, "Ki aap kuch dikhaiye." That was broken. Pakistani sanctuaries were eroded, even for the deep bases like Sargodha, and that is like music.
No, it's absolutely huge. Absolutely huge. Okay, I need to take a short break at this stage. We're going to continue this discussion on this huge news, broken first right here on NDTV this morning, on what the Air Force Chief has actually had to say. Let's take that short break and come right back up.
That's huge. That is a biggie. It's out.
Gold Plus Clear Glass. Far ho ya near, sab kuch dikhe clear.
If it matters to you, if it matters to you, if it matters to you, it matters to India, it matters to India, and it matters to me, and it matters to me.
India Matters with Shivaru, only on NDTV 24/7.
Cookie Busher!
Jai Jawan.
Jai Jawan!
हेलो बोलिए मैडम, रबर ट्रेडिंग कब से चल रहा है पता है मैडम आपको? हम और आप तो जन्म भी नहीं हुआ था हमारा.
We investigated a shady advisory firm that has spent big bucks on advertising on the front pages of national dailies.
ये आपको बिल्कुल उसका ऐसे हल्का सा भी खौफ नहीं है?
मैडम एक बात, खौफ किस लिए रखना चाहिए तो बताओ, कौन सा गलत काम कर रहा हूँ मैं?
After our report, we also saw NSE came out with a cautionary circular to the investors. Market Regulator Securities and Exchange Board of India has also come out with a release talking about the actions that it has taken. Cyber complaint has also been filed against the entities involved in this entire Dabba trading scam.
NDTV 24/7 is India's #1 English news channel on YouTube. Credible, compelling, always ahead of the curve. Thank you for choosing NDTV 24/7 as your trusted source for news.
Mohit, you are known for your music. All your films, musics stay with us till today. I'm a millennial and those music are kind of music. So whenever we say Mohit Suri film aa raha hai, we know the music will be good, right? It's a given. So you really work hard. But is this always like how you create your music? You need everything in place, the mood, the lighting, even when the person is in the studio and just singing. And also, how did you select your musicians that this person's voice is perfect for this song?
That's what I think, the amount you give to a song, that's how long it will last, I think. Everyone does the programming, everyone writes the words, everyone makes the thing. But the thing is how much you give, how much of heart you give to the lyrics or to the music or to the melody or to the singing. That's how long the song will last, is what I genuinely feel. If you don't give that love, you're not going to get it back. It's just a simple debit and credit procedure, I think, with the audience. I genuinely feel I don't have any special skill. I don't know any scale or anything else. It's just that I enjoy that process a lot. Give me an evening to just go for a film party or something, I'll skip it. But you give me like a struggling musician to go who has a great tune, some new guys, chill all night with them. I can do that. I can just sit there, make music and stuff like that. We just did that recently. Fahim came down. He just surprised us, and we met in my Bandra office, and Ahan was there, Aneet was there, and he made me hear his other songs and stuff like that.
Air Chief Marshal confirms that Indian Air Force hit 6 Pakistani jets during Operation Sindur. The Air Chief also says that he couldn't convince our own. His comments have triggered a massive political storm. A massive rally in Kolkata on the occasion of 1 year of that Kolkata RG Kaur gang rape case. Sharad Pawar backs Rahul Gandhi on the vote theft row. He says there should be a probe and the Election Commission must answer.
Presented by Canara Bank. Together we can.
All right, welcome back. The big breaking news story that we continue to track today, striking revelations by the Indian Air Force Chief, Air Chief Marshal AP Singh, where he spoke about 6 Pakistani aircraft having been destroyed in the air. This is the first time that he's gone on record to say this during India's operations, during Operation Sindur. Op Sindur, remember, isn't entirely over, but the military fighting, at least for the moment, is. I'm just going to walk over to the big screen so that we can go through some of the pictures and tell our viewers about what exactly it is that they're seeing. Sushil, if you can just come with me so that we can actually track what is taking place over here. Let's have all of the images up on the screen one more time. Let's start with these images. These are images of one of the Arifwala radar. This is new. It was something which was presented by the Air Chief today. Now look at this particular target over here. This is the crosshairs that the Indian Air Force, zoom in over here. This is what the Indian Air Force was looking to target, the radar head over here. This is the crosshairs, right, from the weapon system deployed, possibly a drone itself. This by itself is significant. This was publicly released today of how they were targeting it. Before the attack, this is what that particular radar head in Arifwala looked like. This is the image which they had. Now, if you just pan down to what it looks like after the attack took place, and the Indian Air Force believes that this particular area is a burn mark, and that the head of that radar has been damaged. These are all very important for the Pakistan. Air Force in terms of their overall air defense. This is the Chunia radar, and again the radar head destroyed after the attack. There are burn marks. This was released by the Indian Air Force chief as well. This particular area, the chief believes, or the Air Force believes, has burn marks. This is not what it should normally look like. Again, this would be a very precision strike, I would assume, using an unmanned aerial vehicle. Let's go through some of the other images, if we can, please. And these are images of the Noor Khan Air Base. We've spoken about this earlier on. This is a before image of the attack, and this is an image when the Indian Air Force actually struck targets. Now, this is important because what I'd like to point out, and zoom in over here, these two, they look like buildings. In fact, these are tractor trawlers. Zoom in over here. This is the front of the tractor trawler, and then this is the cab, as it were, and this is the tractor trawler itself, and these are awnings on both sides. There are openings on both sides, awnings, and this is believed to have been a command and control center for the use of drones. Could these have been Turkish drones? We don't know. But after the Indian Air Force's attack, this is all that remains of one of the two trucks. Zoom in over here. This is all that remains of one of those two trucks. It's obviously destroyed, and the other one you can't make out at all. So this entire area completely leveled by the Indian Air Force. This didn't really have to do that. We've known about that picture, but this is also something which is new. This is Rahim Yar Khan. These were the areas specifically which were targeted in Rahim Yar Khan. This is area number 2. We haven't really focused very much on this, but this is what it looked like before the attack took place. This is relatively low quality satellite imagery, but after the attack, the Indian Air Force has now released these images, which they say shows damage to the buildings. Now, this is the one that NDTV actually brought out, these startling images, the high-resolution ones. First, this is the Bholari Air Force Base. This is an airborne early warning and control systems aircraft hangar. This is the base itself. This is the location of the hangar. Now, let's just go to this particular image over here. This is the green-colored hangar. This is before the Indian Air Force's strikes went through. An AWACS platform, extremely expensive, extremely critical for the Pakistan Air Force's operations. This is what was actually targeted. And here you can see in the image below, it's been destroyed. And for the first time, the Indian Air Force chief on record saying that the Indian Air Force believes that there was another AWACS aircraft inside this. So they knocked out an airborne warning control systems aircraft, possibly an electronic intelligence aircraft in the air, and they likely destroyed one over here. It could have been a Saab Aerial, which is what the Pakistan Air Force operates. It could have been a Chinese AWACS as well, less capable, but they believe that these were destroyed over there. Let's go to the next image. This is the Sukkur Air Force Base, and for the first time, we're actually seeing images not just of the hangars, which I'll come to in a moment, where the UAVs were housed, but the radar site as well. This is the radar site. So what I'd like to do now is focus on this radar site. This is before the attack took place. This is what the radar site looked like. Let's zoom in on the image over here. This is what the radar site looked like before the attack. So keep this image in your mind. This is what it looks like, right? And then this is what it looks like after the attack. As you can see, it's blackened, right? So it's charred as a result of an explosion over here, of a fire over here, and it has been destroyed. That radar in Sukkur was destroyed, not just the hangars, which we brought you images of earlier. And if we are talking about that UAV hangar, this is what it looked like earlier on, right? The two hangars in Sukkur, and this is what it looked like after. So that's what it was, and this is what it is. Presently, this entire area has been flattened. All right, General Dhillon, on the basis of these, a few of these are new images, and this is something we haven't really been speaking about very much. In addition to the attacks on the air bases and the hangars, there were very successful strikes, General, on Pakistani radar installations. This is what in Chunia, in Arifwala, and in Sukkur, these images we are focusing on in this manner for the first time. They did refer to it, but the fact that you've got much more in terms of imagery now is significant, because militarily, if you've got radar systems knocked out, General, then it affects your overall ability to fight a battle, right?
Absolutely. like I said in my opening comment, and Air Marshal Kapoor and our good friend Augustine also said the same thing. See, a nuclear powers, air defense and air force going to ground within 88 to 90 hours is the achievement, is the victory of Indian Defense Forces, is what India has proved. And being a nuclear power itself, we have a responsibility towards our democracy. And taking a point from what Air Chief said, I was the Corps Commander in Kashmir when Pulwama happened. People questioned. I literally received the injured in the 92 base hospital, literally standing out there. We went out and killed those chaps within 100 hours. I know exactly what happened, but people questioned. It hurts. Then Balakot strikes happened. Air Force did a marvelous job. They flew in through Kashmir. My area of responsibility, I was aware what's going on. Still people questioned. It hurts. And now when Operation Sindur happened, in spite of success, in spite of everyone saying that, yes, it's there for you to see, after 3 days, you hit 11 airfields and, with precision and impunity, still people were questioning. Now that hurts. As a soldier, it hurts because the soldier is there putting his life to danger, fighting for the nation.
All right.
The least we can say is the soldier's life is not, so cheap. Okay. And we accept the word of soldier. It is for the Air Force Chief to have come out and said today, in those many words, in those many images, where was the need for this?
Okay, look, I'm just interrupting you because I'm running short of time over here, General Dhillon. But we will keep tracking this story. It's a huge story. The Air Force coming out with the new evidence and new statements from the Air Force Chief indicating how many Pakistani aircraft they took out. We're going to take a short break. More coming up.
Hello, Moto.
Moto G96 5G. All eyes on you.
तू ही तो है जिसकी सच्चाई वाली क्लैरिटी की वजह से मैं आज यहाँ हूँ।
गोल्ड प्लस सिल्वॉक्सी मिरर्स, ऐसी क्लैरिटी कि आपको सिर्फ सच नजर आए, चाहे कितने भी साल बीत जाएं।
Is your business future ready? Join the 13-week strategic ESG certification program for business sustainability and growth for CXO and business leaders by NDTV, Terry and Zenora. Master global ESG frameworks, gain real-world tools and lead with impact. Starts August the 23rd. Enroll now and power your business with sustainability.
If it matters to you, if it matters to you, if it matters to you, it matters to India, it matters to India, and it matters to me, and it matters to me.
India Matters with Shivaru, only on NDTV 24/7. NDTV 24/7 is India's #1 English news channel on YouTube. Credible, compelling, always ahead of the curve. Thank you for choosing NDTV 24/7 as your trusted source for news.
Cookie Bushel!
जय जवान। जय जवान।
हेलो
बोलिए मैडम, रबर टेडिंग कब से चल रहा है पता है मैडम आपको? हम और आप तो जन्म भी नहीं हुआ था हमारा।
We investigated a shady advisory firm that has spent big bucks on advertising on the front pages of national dailies.
ये आपको बिल्कुल उसका ऐसा हल्का सा भी खौफ नहीं है?
मैडम एक बात को खौफ किस लिए रखना चाहिए तो बताओ, कौन सा गलत काम कर रहा हूँ मैं?
After our report, we also saw NSE came out with a cautionary circular to the investors. Market Regulator Securities and Exchange Board of India has also come out with a release talking about the actions that it has taken. Cyber complaint has also been filed against the entities involved in this entire Dabba trading scam.
The markets move fast.
And so should your portfolio. Expert insights, real-time stock picks.
Do I buy Ola?
Should I hold CDSL for the long term?
Buy, sell or hold.
The answers you need, straight from the experts.
Callers from India and across the world. Connect live, ask, decide and invest wisely.
Your portfolio, your future. Ask Profit.
Rajasthan is history, culture, and much more. And I have been reporting on all things royal for more than 25 years.
The colors, the culture, and the complexities of the Northeast is different from the rest of the country. I have been bringing the Northeast closer to the capital for over 15 years. Madhya Pradesh is the heart of India, and I have been capturing its every beat for over 10 years, covering the corridors of power, what is said, what is left unsaid, and what it actually means for you and me. I have it all covered. Kashmir is often called paradise on earth, a region that has been in a state of flux from conflict to India's crowning glory. I have been reporting and decoding Jammu and Kashmir for last 3 decades.
Mohit, you are known for your music. All your films, musics stay with us till today. I'm a millennial and those music are kind of music. So whenever we say Mohit Suri film aa raha hai, we know the music will be good, right? It's a given. So you really work hard. But is this always like how you create your music? You need everything in place, the mood, the lighting, even when the person is in the studio and just singing. And also, how did you select your musicians that this person's voice is perfect for this song?
That's what I think, the amount you give to a song, that's how long it will last, I think. Everyone does the programming, everyone writes the words, everyone makes the thing. But the thing is how much you give, how much of heart you give to the lyrics or to the music or to the melody or to the singing. That's how long the song will last, is what I genuinely feel. If you don't give that love, you're not going to get it back. It's just a simple debit and credit procedure, I think, with the audience. I genuinely feel I don't have any special skill. I don't know any scale or anything else. It's just that I enjoy that process a lot. Give me an evening to just go for a film party or something, I'll skip it. But you give me like a struggling musician to go who has a great tune, some new guys, chill all night with them. I can do that. I can just sit there, make music and stuff like that. We just did that recently. Fahim came down. He just surprised us, and we met in my Bandra office. And Ahan was there, Aneet was there, and he made me hear his other songs and stuff like that. But it was it's so much fun because I just think.
Hello, Moto.
Moto G96 5G. All eyes on you.
Well, Prime Minister Narendra Modi marked Raksha Bandhan 2025 by celebrating the festival at 7 Lok Kalyan Marg, his official residence in Delhi. The occasion brought together women and children from different walks of life who tied Rakis to the Prime Minister as a gesture of love, respect and blessings. Prime Minister Modi shared his greetings on social media, writing in Hindi. He also added in English best wishes on the special occasion of Raksha Bandhan. His message reflected the spirit of unity, love and mutual respect that the festival symbolizes.
हाथ मिलाना है।
NDTV, the Air Chief confirms that the Indian Air Force hit 6 Pakistani jets during Operation Sindur. It's the first formal confirmation of jets shot down by India. There was an AWACS platform which was also shot down. One was hit on the air, on the ground. The Indian Air Force chief says we couldn't convince our own. The Indian Air Force's chief's revelation triggers a storm. He was speaking about 2019, but his remarks are significant because he did say that the forces were operating without any restraint, and that was something questioned by Rahul Gandhi earlier in Parliament. The Navaন্ন Obhiyan rally 1 year of the Kolkata horror. Protesters clashed with the police. Protesters are lathi-charged and RG Kar victim's mother is injured. Sharad Pawar backs Rahul Gandhi on the vote theft row. Pawar seeks a probe and says the Election Commission must answer.
Presented by Canara Bank. Together we can. Is your business future ready? Join the 13-week strategic ESG certification program for business sustainability and growth for CXO and business leaders by NDTV, Terry and Zenora. Master global ESG frameworks, gain real-world tools and lead with impact. Starts August the 23rd. Enroll now and power your business with sustainability.
If it matters to you, if it matters to you, if it matters to you, it matters to India, it matters to India, and it matters to me, and it matters to me.
India Matters with Shivaru, only on NDTV 24/7. NDTV 24/7 is India's #1 English news channel on YouTube. Credible, compelling, always ahead of the curve. Thank you for choosing NDTV 24/7 as your trusted source for news.
जय जवान जय जवान।
हेलो बोलिए मैडम, डब्बा ट्रेडिंग कब से चल रहा है पता है मैडम आपको? हम और आप तो जन्म भी नहीं हुआ था हमारा।
We investigated a shady advisory firm that has spent big bucks on advertising on the front pages of national dailies.
ये आपको बिल्कुल उसका ऐसे हल्का सा भी खौफ नहीं है।
मैडम एक बात को खौफ किस लिए रखना चाहिए तो बताओ, कौन सा गलत काम कर रहा हूँ मैं?
After our report, we also saw NSE came out with a cautionary circular to the investors. Market Regulator Securities and Exchange Board of India has also come out with a release talking about the actions that it has taken. Cyber complaint has also been filed against the entities involved in this entire Dabba trading scam.
Markets move fast.
And so should your portfolio. Expert insights, real-time stock picks.
Do I buy Ola?
Should I hold CDSL for the long term?
Buy, sell or hold.
The answers you need, straight from the experts.
Callers from India and across the world. Connect live, ask, decide and invest wisely.
Your portfolio, your future. Ask Profit.
Rajasthan is history, culture, and much more. And I have been reporting on all things royal for more than 25 years.
The colors, the culture, and the complexities of the Northeast is different from the rest of the country. I have been bringing the Northeast closer to the capital for over 15 years.
Madhur Pradesh is the heart of India, and I have been capturing its every beat for over 10 years, covering the corridors of power.
What is said, what is left unsaid, and what it actually means for you and me. I have it all covered.
Kashmir is often called paradise on earth, a region that has been in a state of flux.
A very good evening. You're watching this big debate this Saturday evening. I'm Gauri Dwivedi. This is NDTV, and we'll get you the top story that we are tracking, which is Air Chief Marshal's statement with regard to the damage, the clobbering that the Pakistani Air Force faced during Operation Sindur and the ramifications of that. But first up, let's get you the headlines we're tracking this hour. Big news break on NDTV. Air Chief Marshal confirms that the IAF hit 6 Pakistani jets during Operation Sindur, the first formal confirmation of the jets downed by India. IAF chief says that couldn't convince our own. He was referring to the Balakot strike and said, and his revelation has triggered a big storm. Will the Congress now apologize, and will Rahul Gandhi now apologize? That's the big question that the BJP is asking. The Nabanna Abhiyan rally marks 1 year of the Kolkata horror. Protesters clash with the police. Protesters lathi charge. RG car victim's mother injured. Sharad Pawar backs Rahul Gandhi on the vote theft controversy. Sharad Pawar has sought a probe and says that the Election Commission must answer the queries raised by Rahul Gandhi. And finally, flood has the relief and rescue operations are currently underway at the Uttarkashi area, and NDTV is at ground zero, getting you all the details first and live from the flash flood epicenter. Viewers, let's start the broadcast with breaking news that's coming in as we speak. This is regarding Mumbai airport, where it seems that there is chaos right now. Network failure has been reported at Mumbai airport, where it seems systems are down. Remember, Mumbai airport is one of the busiest airports around the world. Millions of passengers is the kind of traffic that it handles every year. And what the information we have right now is that there's been a glitch in terms of the boarding pass printing system. And in fact, there's a massive crowd that has swelled due to system failure. This is the latest update we are getting. Big breaking news on your screens right now. Chaos at one of the busiest airports in India, which is the Mumbai airport. And there's been a glitch in terms of the software, due to which there are now long queues. So let's get in Sujata, my colleague, to tell us more in terms of what really is happening right now. Sujata, take us through the developments right now at the Mumbai airport, and more importantly, why is it that this is happening?
Well, absolutely, Gauri. And I just spoke to the airport authorities and they informed us that the network disruption, it did occur, but it was only for a brief period in late evening. And they also informed us that the technical team was promptly able to resolve the glitch and there was no such disruption of the flight operations that happened. But it has to be noted that the network failure had happened, in which caused difficulties in operating the systems, because the check-in and the boarding process was currently carried out manually, and the printing system had stopped, and emergency measures had also been activated, but the team was able to restore the services in time, because of which now flights are operational, and there's no such delay or cancellation of any flights currently at the Mumbai airport.
Now, things are beginning to come under control. Now, Sujata, this is one of the busiest airports in India. So if system failure occurs, what we are looking at, very long queues in terms of passengers, and in fact processing that manually could add to huge delays.
Well, absolutely, and we were also able to get access to some of those images from inside the premises of the airport, where we could see huge such queues of people standing in to get their boarding passes in manual terms, and because of which, we did expect that there could be a sort of delay, but while speaking to the airport authority, they told us that there was no such delay that was caused. However, because usually the manual process takes a bit longer time compared to, the mechanical process, because of which, they state that there was no such flight cancellations. And like you mentioned, that Mumbai is one of the busiest airports that you'll see across the world, and being an international airport, it definitely attracts a lot of crowd. And today being a weekend and also the festive season currently underway, we see that a lot of crowd was also at the airport. However, the technical team was able to get the snag early, and because of which they was able to resolve the issue, and then flight operations were then resumed accordingly.
Right, we'll leave it there. My colleague Sujata Dwivedi joining us on the phone line from Mumbai to tell us the chaos that happened at Mumbai airport. And as Sujata was saying, some of that is now beginning to come under control. It was a system failure that had occurred, which put the entire operations into major chaos. All right, viewers, turning attention to the big story that we are focusing this Saturday evening. Well, IAF chief today made some very important announcements, viewers, as he detailed how the Pakistan Air Force was clobbered by Indian forces during Operation Sindur. IAF chief gave details about the number of Pakistani jets that were downed. Kitne mare is a question that was repeatedly asked, and today IAF chief answered it clearly. 6. 6 is the figure, viewers, in terms of the Pakistani jets that were downed by India during Operation Sindur. And this was India's big military success, which also witnessed the longest surface-to-air missile. One of the biggest reasons for that success, viewers, was the S-400, a game-changing Russian air defense system that India purchased, and something that is a key aspect in terms of the 4-day conflict during Operation Sindur, something that the IAF chief also spoke about, saying that this was the Sudarshan Chakra for India, and said it was a game changer for the Indian forces. Let's play out first what exactly IAF chief said here. We come back and talk more on this.
Their aircraft tried to penetrate our defenses. Our air defense systems have done a wonderful job. The S-400 system, which we had recently bought, has been a game changer. The range of that system has really kept their aircraft away from their weapons like, those long-range glide bombs that they have. They have not been able to use any one of those because they have not been able to penetrate this system.
Let's also now get you the kind of warfare record that the IAF had set. And this, in fact, is an animation video, an AI-generated video that tells you the kind of record that the Indian Air Force had set. And this was because of S-400. Let's put that out, that animation that tells you the trajectory that actually was traversed from the Adampur Air Base till 300 kilometers ahead, unprecedented in recent warfare. That is what that animation was actually telling you in terms of the longest range surface-to-air intercept of aircrafts, 300 kilometers plus range, unprecedented in recent warfare, massive validation in terms of S-400 missile system that India purchased. And Pakistani jets were destroyed despite deep knowledge of S-400. This is very important, viewers, because this is the kind of validation that we will be speaking more on this broadcast right now, the major validation of Indian Air Force Air Defense Network. Let's also now tell you what exactly is the S-400, the Sudarshan Chakra that the IAF chief also spoke about. Why is it such a game changer, and will that lead to larger changes or possible recalibration for India going forward is something that we will tell you more and decode in detail. But first up, let's get you that big details as far as India's Sudarshan Chakra, advanced long-range air defense system for India. Then next up, in terms of a mobile surface-to-air missile system, it intercepts and destroys aerial targets. It has a range of about 400 kilometers at an altitude of 30 kilometers, which is why it is cutting-edge technology. And number of targets it can actually engage simultaneously, 36. That's the number that exists. And it can actually destroy stealth aircraft and missiles and is equipped with 4 types of missiles. And you can see then why this is so important. Right now we have 3 of these quadrants. The remaining 2 are expected to be delivered next year, and which is why this is so important, and it's considered more advanced than the US version, which is the third version that some of the other US allies use around the world. This is considered to be more advanced than that. To talk more on this, let's quickly now, in fact, rope in our big guest joining me this evening, General Malik, who's the former Indian Army Chief. Thank you so much, General Malik, for speaking to us on NDTV, for taking out the time. Let me start first by asking you, sir, your first reaction to the statement that was made by the Indian Air Force Chief today when he spoke about the exact number of jets that have been downed by India as far as the damage that that Indian Air Force has done to Pakistan during Operation Sindur.
Good evening to you. Firstly, I must mention that whenever any chief of the services or armed forces makes a statement, it is considered to be the factual, authentic, and most credible statement. So let there be no doubt about his statement, because I saw it on the X, some people abroad doubting that statement also. And I am quite appalled about that kind of attitude. As far as Op Sindur is concerned, I think it is one of the unique operations that we have conducted. Within 4 days, we have been able to cause so much of damage to Pakistan, which has never happened earlier, without any casualties to ourselves. I'm talking of the human being. And the kind of planning that was done, the kind of clearance that was given, the kind of freedom of action that was given, I think that is most praiseworthy. 3 aspects are important. First is the selection of the target. Second is the acquisition of the target with the help of intelligence agencies and our surveillance apparatus. And the third is the distraction. And I think this has been done in a most efficient manner. And that is how we have been able to cause so much of damage, and which made Pakistan come to its knees and seek the ceasefire subsequently on the 10th of May. So I feel that the other aspect I want to mention here is that this particular operation has showcased many things. Firstly, on the political side, I think it has shown strong will and resolve to punish the perpetrators. That is one. Secondly, it was a whole-of-the-nation approach while we carried out Op Sindur. The other aspect was the Indus water treaty that has been put in abeyance. Then the new indigenous weapons that have been showcased during this, and particularly Akash, I think they have proved to be the most effective and very credible weapon system, air defense system that we have got. As far as S-400 is concerned, which you were just now describing, it has done the same kind of work during Kargil war, which was done by Bofors. You know, Bofors became the game changer during Kargil war. And this year, and this time, it is the S-400 which has become the game changer. It has been proved now that it's one of the most effective air defense system that we have acquired in the recent years.
Okay.
I think it was, the whole operation was very successfully coordinated, and both, I would say, organizationally it has been conducted very well, by all the three forces getting together, and also the manner in which the whole operation has been conducted on the ground with the new weapon systems and the new technologies that we have acquired. It has been most effective.
Indeed, sir. Indeed. When you started speaking, sir, the point that you made about the disappointment that many people felt that the statement made by our armed forces should be the final word and shouldn't in fact be questioned, debated, discussed, politicized, all of that happened. Let me then ask you, the narratives that were being pushed was that the IAF had its hands tied, and there was some sort of a sinister plan, or there was some other game plan. All of this was actually being discussed, but all of that has actually been junked by the Air Chief today in very clear terms. Your reaction to that, sir?
Firstly, when the war is on, at that time, you cannot speak about your casualties. It's never done. It is done only after that. The other thing is that you require some time to verify whatever facts that you have. And in the armed forces in India, we never give out any information unless it is considered factually correct and we have verified it. So if we have taken some time to be able to come out with this disclosure, it is quite justified. And people who doubt statements from the armed forces, I think they don't know. Personally, if you ask me, so many times I have been told that the service chief's statements are considered more credible than any of the political leaders' statement. Particularly, I'm talking of the war and the defense side. So, as far as I'm concerned, what we have done is the right thing, and at the right time, with the right information, factually, which has been verified, then the Air Chief has made the statement.
Mm-hmm. Indeed. The other thing that the Air Chief also spoke about was the lessons from the Balakot strike that made the Indian Air Force get proofs to back its big military win. He said that when he said that our own were doubting us earlier. Do you think that's extremely unfortunate, given the fact that when there is a big military win that India has achieved, it should just end there?
Look, as I said, that whenever statements are made by the armed forces, official statements are made by, they should not be doubted. And earlier in the past also, they were never doubted. But it is surprising to see now some of the opposition leaders doubting those statements. The other thing, as far as Balakot is concerned, we really did not have the right photographs or proof of what happened inside. While we hit those targets and we had our estimates, but as I said, they were estimates and they were not totally confirmed. They were not verifiable at that time because we didn't have that kind of capability. This time there is no doubt at all. Absolutely no doubt, because the photographs that it is not only satellite imagery, but also some of the photographs that have now been acquired, there should be no doubt in anybody's mind.
All right. And General Malik, finally, then let me ask you this question in terms of the facts that were laid bare today by the IAF chief, where he spoke about the kind of military victory that India had during Operation Sindur, the 6 Pakistani jets that were downed, also comes at a time when hopefully that should put an end, do you think, to the politics around Operation Sindur that's been going on now for the last 3 months almost?
I hope so. I hope so. The fact is, I personally feel that our successes of Op Sindur have been underplayed somehow. And but now that the proofs are there, and particularly when the Air Force Chief himself has made those statements. There should be no doubt in anybody's mind. No service chief will ever make a statement in public unless that information has been totally verified and it is credible.
All right, we leave it there. General Malik, thank you so much for speaking to NDTV on a day when IAF chief has spoken and laid bare the facts with regard to the big military win that India had as far as Operation Sindur is concerned. Many were asking that how many jets were downed by India. That figure stands at 6, clearly mentioned by IAF chief, besides the several other big military targets that were in fact down. Thank you so much, General Malik, for speaking to NDTV. Now, viewers, as we talk about S-400 in terms of the Sudarshan Chakra, the game changer that it was, there are also several other ramifications of the statements that were made today by the Air Chief. First and foremost, this comes amidst a possible recalibration of the linkages between India and the US with regard to trade, and also India and Russia, given the larger geopolitical headwinds. Now, let's try and connect the dots here. On one end, Donald Trump has slapped massive tariffs on India, even as he wants New Delhi to double down on our growing defense purchases from the US. But here's the catch, viewers. Russian defense system, the Sudarshan Chakra, the game changer in Operation Sindur, could become more significant going forward. Already there is a clamor to get more S-400s, in addition to the 2 that are set to be delivered next year. There is also a greater realignment in terms of the bilateral ties that India and Russia have and share. They are deep, they're historic, they are ones that have been strategic in nature for several decades. Vladimir Putin will be in India soon in the next couple of months. All this in the backdrop of the major geopolitical headwinds that are going on. So on one end is the military and tactical war wins that the IAF chief spoke about, and how the clobbering that the Pakistani Air Force was subjected to on the hands of Indian Air Force. On the other hand is the diplomatic recalibration. Remember, India is the world's second largest defense buyer, and its defense purchases are at the intersection of military strategy, geopolitical strategy and foreign policy. And this is the big focus that we will try and get you more details of when we decode with our Power Pack panel. Joining us this evening, we've got Kushal Mehra, who is an author and podcaster. We have Dr. Tara Kartha, who is a former director of the National Security Council Secretariat. And we'll also connect with Professor Anuradha Chinoy, someone who understands the Russian and Central Asian studies very well at the JNU. In fact, we have Professor Chinoy as well with us. Thank you so much, all three of you, for joining me on NDTV this evening. And this is a question I throw open to the panel, because at the end of the day, as I said, one end is the devastating list of Pakistani losses that we've spoken about, that the IAF chief detailed in great clarity today. And on the other end are these trade tensions, defense purchases, all of which are getting recalibrated. Dr. Kartha, let me start with you.
I think that's a really difficult question, Gauri, because things are moving so fast that it's difficult to keep track. You had, Trump just a day before NSA visited Moscow, he signed that executive order for additional tariffs, 25% more. So that looked like a pressure tactic, which in turn would bring Russia to the table. That is one part. The other part is what the air chief chose to say at this point of time. And the main question is, why did he say it now and not earlier? Which is open to question. But I think that what the chief just spoke, the former air chief just spoke on his show, is that our service people never make statements unless they have checked, rechecked, and made 100% sure of what they're saying. Which is why even during Balakot, you remember, they were very restrained in what they said. That is one. Number two is that immediately during the war, after the war was finished, the Operation Sindur was done, you don't want to go out and you wanted to end this, which was like, again, what the air chief said is your biggest victory, and people have not understood this. That you went in, you got your objectives, and then you got out again. And you stopped the war. That people have not recognized. That is such an amazing thing that you were able to do. But if you want to do that, you don't talk too much about Pakistan casualties, because that then creates another cycle of violence. So there's a lot of reasons here. But I was very, very proud to hear the chief talk about this. Hopefully, it will also stop the hundreds of doubters within this country itself who's talking of proof at the
Let's
most
hope for that.
weirdest
Let's
thing
just
and
hope for
proof.
that, Tarakartha. That's the only thing I can say, because questions won't stop, and this you must give us proof brigade. I think that is something that's deeply disturbing at many levels. But Professor Anuradha Chinoy, let me bring you in before I get in Kushal Mehra as well, which is that we were talking on a day when there is massive validation of S-400, the Sudarshan Chakra for India. The IAF chief spoke about it as a big game changer. We're also talking at a time when President Putin is set to be in India. Dates are the only thing that need to be finalized. Defense partnership is one of the core areas of the India-Russia relationship. Do you see that getting a fresh fillip in the wake of so many extra factors that are happening, and also the validation that the IAF chief spoke about?
Look, as far as the validation is concerned, he's correct, because we saw the same thing happen at the front in Ukraine between Russia and Ukraine, and in Iran, which also used the S-400s at the time of the Israel-US attacks. So India is quite clear on the S-400s and Russian defense equipment, and I think they will not compromise on it, tariffs or no tariffs. And as far as the tariffs are concerned,
do you think more of these purchases will happen? That's my point. Do you think more of these purchases will happen?
Yes, it's most likely, because the S-400 is the best system. So why compromise on it? And as far as the tariffs is concerned, again, I don't think there'll be any compromise from India's side about taking Russian oil and defense purchases as far as our needs are concerned. So, of course, the air chief's validation is fine, etc. But I think those who've been watching the battlefields recently do know about the importance of the S-400s and how a lot of Russian equipment has repeatedly proved itself. Of course, one has to leave it to the military experts, but this is my understanding.
All right, let's get in Kushal Mehra on this. Kushal, now this is not good news for Donald Trump. He's a man who likes planes to be gifted to him. He wants gold embossed phones to be gifted to him. He wants all defense purchases to come to him and his country, because, that's the whole MAGA argument, isn't it? But Russian defense and Russian arms being so successful for us is not good news for him, more so since he wants the entire weapons purchase to come from America.
Actually, on the contrary, now we can understand why he's so pissed off against us for the last few days. I think we should actually do some backward integration right now. With the press conference today, we can actually put the pieces together of why Donald Trump has been throwing a hissy fit as far as we are concerned, and from Maurice, my best friend, to whatever new shenanigans we're doing over here as far as the India-America bit is concerned. We can put the pieces together now. But I still, there is no reason why we should not trust our armed forces and their statement. I'm one of those that, if it comes to the statement from my army, I'm going to trust them. Obviously, we are a democracy. We are free to ask questions. But Trump is, now I actually have some closure on why Trump is mad at us.
I haven't even begun to start asking you about the F-16s that apparently were destroyed. There were several of them. That's what the IAF chief said.
That's the whole idea, right? The F-16 bit is the source taking point as far as Donald Trump could be concerned. I mean, this is one of the hypotheses that we can come up with why he's mad at us, and the trade deal, or one day it is the BRICS, one day it's the Russian oil. Maybe all of it is just cover because it was the F-16. And now that, the cat is out of the bag, let's see what Trump comes up with next. I'm actually looking forward to what Trump says about India now. After this press conference, it's going to be another salvo. So that's the thing I'm looking forward to, because with Donald Trump, it's a daily soap opera.
It is. And this is one thing that I keep saying, which is that he can keep dancing on the White House rooftops, but he shouldn't expect that New Delhi will be dancing to his tunes, not for a second. And which brings me to ask this to both Tara as well as Professor Chinoy, which is that in the backdrop of these calculations that are going on in Trump administration, you have one of the world's second largest defense purchaser. We are the world's second largest arms importer. We take our decisions in regard to defense purchases, keeping all these long-term calculations in mind. Yes, we have a growing defense partnership with America, but we also have a solid foundation in terms of the Russian weaponry that we have, which get proven on battlefield. Tara Kartha.
Yeah, I would love to go with that and say buy Russian and let's carry on with this because, they're offering you co-production. There's some amount of technology transfer, not a lot, but some amount. And of course, their involvement in nuclear power. So there is this solid power which is willing to back you and offer you spares during a conflict. I mean, they did that in Sindur. You had no lack of certain items. But the reality, Gauri, is that you still have to work with Quad. That's the reality. You can't walk away from that. So you've got now the Australians coming in. You're going to talk to the Japanese. So in that, you have to have US weapons. Otherwise, how do you operate with them? It's in practical terms, it's not possible, and it's not, what shall I say, right, that when they object to the S-400s during an operation with them, they have a certain amount of logic on their side. So this is going to be a very careful balancing game. But even then, while I agree with Professor Chinoy, the S-400s, I think, will remain on the table.
S-400s will remain on the table. What next is the question we are asking, and that fine balancing act. Professor Chinoy, with our national security advisor in Russia, with President Putin set to be in India, it's of course not a conversation that's only about Russian oil, right? Because that's something that we will continue. We've said that earlier. We continue to say that. It's our sovereign right. We exercise that. There's much more. And the moment you say it's much more, it is about our deep defense partnership. So help us understand, in the wake of these very strong validation that has come in today, how do you see this India-Russia relationship going forward, more so through the lens of defense? Not through the lens of Russian oil, but through the lens of defense?
Well, look, defense has always been a very large component, but let's recognize the fact that from about getting imports about 75 to 80%, it's down to about 45%. So India has diversified. But I would say that what Tara just said, that, the transfer of technology is extremely important, giving the codes. Because I did also read some reports which said that some of the US equipment we are getting have not given us the codes, which is very important during a war and during any, for our own defense. So really, I don't think we will shift from the defense platforms. The defense will remain a major component of India-Russia trust and partnership. Of course, the diversification will go on. But we have to also see what is best, as opposed to the political pressure which comes from many Western countries that, it's a plus. If you do this, we might lower tariffs. But with Russia, there's no such thing. It's very direct. Of course, there are times when there is a slowdown. But again, I agree with Tara, the way, that they have been able to deliver. And then I even remember a point when there was one particular, I think maybe it was some years ago, where the Russians said, and I was present in that meeting, where they said, well, if India requires, we'll take off even our boots and give it to them. So that is a basis of this relationship, and I think it will remain.
Kushal Mehra, come in there. In the backdrop of this history, the present that exists, and that whole MAGA brigade, which, for all if there's anything that is certain about them, is the complete unpredictability. Next week, Trump and Putin will meet in Alaska, and none of these, permutations and combinations may hold. All of this may change. But as things stand right now, how do you see this balancing act now going from here on for India from its defense platform's point of view?
I actually do agree with the other two speakers that as far as India is concerned, it's about Indian defense interests, and whatever serves our interests properly has to be our priority. You cannot, as the old adage goes, you should not put all your eggs in one basket, whether it's the Russian basket or whether it's the American basket. We should do what suits us. As far as MAGA is concerned, listen, we have to stop giving attention to social media noise. Beyond a point, it is just fluff and bluster. And Trump has a unique way of doing things, where Trump plays the bad cop, and the negotiators that are dealing with India will always play the good cop. And in this good cop, bad cop routine, I think Trump doesn't realize that when it comes to negotiating, I think maybe they don't know Indian culture, that every Indian person going to a small retail shop, buying things, negotiating and getting a deal is kind of part of our DNA. So I don't know what Trump is thinking. He's going to be tired out eventually with the Indians. We have to look at our interests. I would highly warn Indians of developing any sort of anti-American attitudes or anti-Russian attitudes. It should always be going from what serves Indian purposes, and we just draw some lines in the sand that this is not going to work for us. That should be the way forward. What the MAGA folks say should not be the way we should be looking at. Let's say somebody has a 4 million subscriber base and they say something against India. That should not be the thing that we're paying attention to. We should be paying attention to what the policymakers are saying. And honestly, beyond a point, how can you even take anything President Trump says seriously? He says one thing in the morning, then the other thing in the evening, then the next day he likes someone else, then he says he wants a Nobel Peace Prize, but then he says he doesn't really want it. It's all fluff and bluster. We just have to stick to our line in the sand where we are very clear, and that's the way forward. And I think both the other two speakers have said that it should be about Indian interests. End of the story.
Of course, Indian interests. And as far as President Trump is concerned, yes, you're right that it's hard to decode which way he's going. By the looks of it, he may or may not end any conflicts, but he's most certainly going to get a record number of recommendations in terms of Nobel Peace Prize. So I don't know whether he's going to get that or not, but yes, he's definitely going to get a record number of letters. But then, which brings me to ask you the other aspect, which is very important, because Donald Trump is also someone who's mainstreaming Asim Munir. While we want to dine with President Putin, well, Trump wants to dine with Asim Munir. That's just how it's becoming right now. Now, in the wake of that, in the wake of this realignment that Donald Trump thinks that is going to be like the big ace up his sleeve, as he wants to probably reinvest in the US-Pakistan relationship. Kushal, how does that change things for us? Because that's a very important aspect of how we play out this balancing act, isn't it?
I had tweeted this, that I cannot believe that Donald Trump is going to make India and China come closer. I said it in a tongue-in-cheek way, but he might actually, he may get an award for that. He should. But as far as India is concerned, we should be very wary about anything America does as far as Pakistan is concerned. But at the same time, whatever they do, what is the potential of the damage that can be caused? What can Pakistan offer? Like President Trump made that giant post on Truth Social about finding tons of oil reserves in Pakistan. The natural question should be, was it snake oil? It should not be about what else was there. Was it snake oil? Again, it is all part of a lot of things President Trump does. If India is very clear about its interests, what President Trump does should not matter. And anyways, we have responded. We've already seen the Honorable Prime Minister of India has had a call with Vladimir Putin. Prime Minister Modi is visiting China. There are many other things. I think President Lula also had a talk with Prime Minister Modi. There are ways of dealing with these things. But I would, again, caution Indians of developing this anti-America attitude. I don't think that helps us either. I think we have to look at it in the way we've always looked at it.
Okay,
what
all right.
serves Indian interests?
Mm-hmm. What does serve Indian interests would be to be very wary of how Trump is looking to probably relook at the US-Pakistan relationship. That is something that we need to be very wary of. And Tara Kartha and Professor Chenoy, let me ask you those final comments in terms of, will that have an impact on how we recalibrate our relationship as far as defense platforms are concerned?
As of now, there's nothing.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry. All they've got is 357 million for their F-16s, which is part of a compact to prevent the F-16s being used against India. It's a technical package. That's all they've got. I mean, they've got the IMF loan, but that has been going on for some years. They've been on IMF drip for years and years and years. Other than that, there is nothing there at all. I mean, Asim Munir can go and have lunch in 10 times, but I would say that is unfortunate for Asim Munir because the US is one power which actually underlines the fact that there are no free lunches. If he's getting lunch there, he's got to give something back. And if I were Munir, I would be very, very wary of what the US must give.
All right, Professor Chinoy, quick closing comments, ma'am.
Yeah, well, Pakistan Army has always been available for use for the US in Central Asia, in West Asia, in Iran, etc. So Donald Trump would like to be the balancer in South Asia. He would like to pair India and Pakistan, which is not possible. Pakistan, it's a 23rd rescheduling of the IMF debt. They're unable to pay it. But nonetheless, Pakistan will suffer on account of US interests because for them, their interests are primary, and that is how, they are the ones who had trained the Mujahideen and Afghanistan, and they continue to do it. So we have to be wary that American interests in Pakistan will be consistent, and we have to maneuver around it.
All right, I'll leave it there. Thank you so much, all three of you, for joining me on this very special discussion in terms of the validation that S-400 got today and the larger recalibration it could actually kickstart for India from its defense partnerships. In fact, viewers, as far as the statements that were made by the IAF chief today, where he categorically talked about the kind of clobbering that the Pakistanis faced during Operation Sindur, politics around it doesn't stop. Remember, it was Rahul Gandhi who had actually asked and in fact made those statements saying that the IAF had gone inside the Operation Sindur with its hands tied at the back. A statement, a narrative that has been completely rejected by the Air Chief Marshal today. In fact, this is likely to have major ramifications going as far as the politics around Operation Sindur is concerned. It could also be a major showdown factor as far as Parliament is concerned. Come Monday morning, Parliament has already debated Operation Sindur for 16 hours when Rahul Gandhi made those statements, all of which have been rejected by the IAF chief. Listen in to some of those comments that came in from Rahul Gandhi and the rebuttal from the IAF chief.
पहले 100% पॉलिटिकल विल होनी चाहिए और दूसरा, अगर आप सेना का प्रयोग करना चाहते हो तो आपको फुल फ्रीडम ऑफ ऑपरेशन देना पड़ेगा। जनरल मानेकशॉ ने इंदिरा गांधी जी से कहा कि मैं ऑपरेशन गर्मी में नहीं कर सकता हूं, नहीं करूंगा, मुझे 6 महीने चाहिए। इंदिरा गांधी जी ने उन्हें कहा आपको 6 महीने चाहिए, 1 साल चाहिए, जितना भी आपको समय चाहिए आप लीजिए, क्योंकि आपको फ्रीडम होनी चाहिए, फ्रीडम ऑफ एक्शन आपको होना चाहिए।
But there was political will. I'm being very, very candid here, very open here, because I hear various versions of it. I think if I tell you something, people will have to believe, because I was there listening to everybody, attending every meeting. There was very clear political will, very clear directions which were given to us, and there were no kind of restrictions which were put on it. If there were any constraints, they were self-made. We, the forces, decided what will be our rules of engagement. We, the forces, decided what will be the escalation ladder that we want to ride on. We decided how we want to control the escalation. So I want to make it very clear, there were no, I repeat, no restrictions on us. Full freedom was given to us to plan and execute.
All right, viewers, on that note, a quick break. We return on the other side, talk more about the latest as far as the rescue and relief operations in Uttarkashi with NDTV being at ground zero. Stay tuned for that. Thanks. Big news break on NDTV. IAF chief confirms 6 Pakistani jets were shot down by the Indian Air Force during Operation Sindur. First formal confirmation of jets shot down by India. IAF chief says couldn't convince our own revelation triggers storm, with BJP now asking for Rahul Gandhi's apology. 1 year of RG car horror in Kolkata. Protesters clash with police. Protesters lathi charged. Sharad Pawar seeks probe into Rahul Gandhi's allegations, says Election Commission must answer.
Presented by Canara Bank. Together we can.
गोल्ड क्लास ऑप्टिमिस्टिक रिफ्लेक्टिव ग्लास लगाओ, धूप की गर्मी को दूर भगाओ और बिजली का बिल भी बचाओ.
You know, first when Sayyara released and we as audience realized, oh my God, what is happening? You know, when did you realize it? Like, it's like, whoa, I didn't expect this. What is happening? Like that wave that hits you.
You know, the first thing that really hit me, I'm telling you, was a month back actually, to be honest, is when Adi sir saw the film. And he saw a very loose cut and he decided the release date. But he was always, like me and Akshay were so into making the film, I think, along with Sumanna and all. Sometimes when you're so into it and you don't realize, you don't see it from, and then he saw it from a third person perspective. I mean, he was always super confident about the film. And he had actually had this talk with me about how I've done. And yeah, we all grew up. I was in the 8th grade when I saw Dilwale Dulhaniya Le Jayenge and said I want to make a love story like this. For a person like him to say that, you've made a great film. All he had asked for me was to make your best film for me. And I did. And I'm just glad so that was the first thing, and that validation was great. I wasn't shouting over the roof for it. It gives you a lot of confidence at that moment,
Absolutely.
for the person who's actually put his money where it is, and he wasn't talking about anything else but on a very unassembled film at that time. Could feel the emotion and be listening. But it was the first time we felt that we made something special. But yes, once the numbers came in, I think then it was Akshay.
The advance.
Yeah, and the advances came in, and then people were sending me messages, and all they said, no, don't listen to anyone. So I at one point just put my phone off and said, this is getting too out of hand. And then in the night we got the number.
The markets move fast.
And so should your portfolio. Expert insights, real-time stock picks.
Do I buy Ola?
Should I hold CDSL for the long term?
Buy, sell or hold.
The answers you need, straight from the experts.
Callers from India and across the world. Connect live, ask, decide and invest wisely.
Your portfolio, your future. Ask Profit.
Rajasthan is history, culture, and much more. And I have been reporting on all things royal for more than 25 years.
The colors, the culture, and the complexities of the Northeast is different from the rest of the country. I have been bringing the Northeast closer to the capital for over 15 years.
Madhur Pradesh is the heart of India, and I have been capturing its every beat for over 10 years, covering the corridors of power. What is said, what is left unsaid, and what it actually means for you and me. I have it all covered.
Kashmir is often called paradise on earth, a region that has been in a state of flux from conflict to India's crowning glory. I have been reporting and decoding Jammu and Kashmir for last 3 decades.
Vanakkam Tamil Nadu.
Now the battle for Tamil Nadu 2026 is open now.
After Chief Minister Stalin rolls up his sleeves.
And Vijay steps in as a star challenger.
This is a mass gathering, not for cash.
Meanwhile, a former Chief Minister, Edapadi Palanisamy, begins his fight back.
The big comeback campaign by EPS has well and truly begun.
These are all the ultimate players, and this is going to be the ultimate test.
हेलो बोलिए मैडम, रबर ट्रेडिंग कब से चल रहा है पता है मैडम आपको? हम और आप तो जन्म भी नहीं हुआ था हमारा.
We investigated a shady advisory firm that has spent big bucks on advertising on the front pages of national dailies.
ये आपको बिल्कुल उसका ऐसा हल्का सा भी खौफ नहीं है.
मैडम एक बात को खौफ किस लिए रखना चाहिए तो बताओ, कौन सा गलत काम कर रहा हूँ मैं?
After our report, we also saw NSE came out with a cautionary circular to the investors. Market Regulator Securities and Exchange Board of India has also come out with a release talking about the actions that it has taken. Cyber complaint has also been filed against the entities involved in this entire Dabba trading scam.
Hello, Moto.
Moto G96 5G. All eyes on you.
Viewers, breaking news that's coming in right now is that there has been a shooting incident that has taken place in Times Square, New York City's most iconic area, which has left 3 people injured, including a woman and a 9-year-old child. New York Police Department has said that a 17-year-old opened fire. Let's get in Rhythm Arcadia joining us for more on this from the newsroom to tell us what really happened and, more importantly, how many people have been affected by this shooting incident.
Yes, Corey, and absolutely devastating news coming in from Times Square. 3 people were injured after a 17-year-old man had opened fire at Times Square at around 1 a.m. local time. The victims include a 19-year-old man and a 65-year-old man, both of who were injured on their leg, and a 17-year-old woman who was wounded on her neck. Now, when this incident happened, immediately all the victims were rushed to the hospital and they remain in a stable condition. The shooting, obviously, post the shooting, there was chaos all over the streets. Dozens of police cars were lined up. People were seen running, screaming, and that happened. But remember that all of this comes in as New York braces for the mayor's race, and gun violence remains one of their defining issues. While the police says that, this year, within the 8 months, there have been fewer incidents of gun violence, but this obviously remains under the scanners. Now, despite all of this, Times Square has reopened and the investigation remains under process.
All right, we leave it there. Rhythm Arcadia giving us that update in terms of that shooting incident that has taken place in Times Square. And as she was pointing out, comes at a time when there's growing debate with regards to what should be the situation as far as gun violence in public spaces are concerned. Well, viewers, with that, it's a wrap on the show. Thanks so much for watching. Up ahead is News with Vishnu Shom, where he decodes how is it that the Pakistani Air Force was clobbered by India.
Mohit, you are known for your music. All your films, musics stay with us till today. I'm a millennial and those music are kind of music. So whenever we say Mohit Suri film aa raha hai, we know the music will be good, right? It's a given. So you really work hard. But is this always like how you create your music? You need everything in place, the mood, the lighting, even when the person is in the studio and just singing. And also, how did you select your musicians that this person's voice is perfect for this song?
That's what I think, the amount you give to a song, that's how long it will last, I think. Everyone does the programming, everyone writes the words, everyone makes the thing. But the thing is how much you give, how much of heart you give to the lyrics or to the music or to the melody or to the singing. That's how long the song will last, is what I genuinely feel. If you don't give that love, you're not going to get it back. It's just a simple debit and credit procedure, I think, with the audience. I genuinely feel I don't have any special skill. I don't know any scale or anything else. It's just that I enjoy that process a lot. Give me an evening to just go for a film party or something, I'll skip it. But you give me like a struggling musician to go who has a great tune, some new guys, chill all night with them. I can do that. I can just sit there, make music and stuff like that. We just did that recently. Fahim came down. He just surprised us, and we met in my Bandra office. And Han was there, Aneet was there, and he made me hear his other songs and stuff like that. But it was it's so much fun. Because I just think making music, I mean, film, you still get to see something. Yeah. I think music is so amazing. I mean, you don't need to see anything. It's in the air, and suddenly it just comes together, and it's just, you can just feel it. And something you hear makes you feel something. It's just magical.
If it matters to you, if it matters to you, if it matters to you, it matters to India. It matters to India. And it matters to me. And it matters to me.
India Matters with Shivaru, only on NDTV 24/7. Is your business future ready? Join the 13-week strategic ESG certification program for business sustainability and growth for CXO and business leaders by NDTV, Terry and Zenora. Master global ESG frameworks, gain real-world tools and lead with impact. Starts August the 23rd. Enroll now and power your business with sustainability. NDTV 24/7 is India's #1 English news channel on YouTube. Credible, compelling, always ahead of the curve. Thank you for choosing NDTV 24/7 as your trusted source for news.
Cookie Busher!
Jai Jawan!
Jai Jawan!
You know, first, when Sayyara released and we as audience realized, oh my God, what is happening? You know, when did you realize it? Like, it's like, I didn't expect this, what is happening? Like that wave that hits you.
You know, the first thing that really hit me, I'm telling you, was a month back actually, to be honest, is when Adi sir saw the film. And he saw a very loose cut and he decided the release date. But he was always, like me and Akshay were so into making the film, I think, along with Sumanna and all. Sometimes when you're so into it and you know, you don't realize, you don't see it from, and then he saw it from a third person perspective. I mean, he was always super confident about the film. And he had actually had this talk with me about how I've done. And yeah, we all grew up. I was in the 8th grade when I saw Dilwale Dulhaniya Le Jayenge and said I want to make a love story like this. For a person like him to say that, you know, you've made a great film. All he had asked for me was to give me a
Good evening and welcome. The big story that we've been tracking through the day, startling revelation by the Chief of the Indian Air Force, Air Chief Marshal A.P. Singh, where For the first time, he's come out with detailed statements where he says that during Op Sindur, 6 Pakistani aircraft were shot down by the Indian Air Force, besides which there were aircraft which were targeted on the ground as well, which were destroyed inside hangars. We're going to be bringing you all of those details. It's taken a few months, but the Indian Air Force chief, in a talk in Bengaluru today, has come out with some of the most startling details on the success of India's operations during Op Sindur. This is evidence that the Indian Air Force says is absolutely clear. Not 1 or 2, but 6 Pakistani aircraft, including an AWACS aircraft, knocked out on the sky. But what we can do right now is actually talk a little bit, and we're going to be playing out what the Air Chief said in just a moment from now. But before that, let's have the pictures on your screen. F-16 aircraft, that's been the mainstay of the Pakistan Air Force for an extended period of time. It is believed that some F-16 aircraft were knocked out in Jacobabad on the ground. Whether any of these were intercepted in the air by S-400 surface-to-air missile systems, we do not know. Let's bring you images, other images as well. Let's go through all of the fighter aircraft. This is perhaps the most significant one today. This is a Saab Eri. This is one of the most advanced radar warning aircraft that the Pakistanis operate. It is the most advanced. They operate a less advanced Chinese variant as well. And what the Indian Air Force chief did say is that at a range of 300 kilometers, which would be a record, one of those Eris was intercepted by this system. This is the S-400 surface-to-air missile system. It has a range of up to 400 kilometers. The S-400 was used to fire its missiles up to a range of approximately 300 kilometers in this case, and it is believed that a Pakistani AWACS or an intelligence gathering aircraft, a large platform, was actually knocked out. So there were 6 planes which were knocked out. Some of those could have been jets like this, the Mirage 3 and the Mirage 5, or very significantly, the J-10 which the Pakistanis use. This is their frontline aircraft, possibly the F-16 itself, though he did talk about F-16 losses on the ground. These are some of the frontline aircraft that the Pakistanis operate. We do not know which aircraft were knocked down, but it was the S-400 surface-to-air missile system which did knock out all of the aircraft that I've mentioned. Now, the Air Force chief has come out with these details at a time and place of his choosing. He's done it several months after Op Sindur, the military action over there, actually ended. But let's also talk a little bit about the ground strikes which did take place, because there is new footage which has now emerged as well. This is actually from a loitering drone, and you can see the target over here. This is of the Arifwala radar. You can also see images over here of before and after the attack, before attacking over here and an after attack right below. And the Indian Air Force says that this radar head was damaged. This is new evidence coming in of the extent of the Indian Air Force strikes. Let's move to the next couple of images that we see. This is the Chunia radar. Again, this radar has been damaged. It's blackened out in the top, so that's been damaged as well. The next image that you're going to see on your screen is of the Noor Khan Air Force Base in Chaklala. We've spoken about this in the past, but this used to be a command and control center over here where drone operations used to be guided. The next image that you see, and these are now getting quite significant, is the UAV hub in Sukur, and this is actually the Rahim Yar Khan Pakistan Air Force Base. Many areas were struck over here. Let's go to the next image. The next image here, this is Bholari, the most startling image. This is the entire Bholari Air Base. And the Indian Air Force chief today said that not only was an AWACS platform of Pakistan struck in the air, it was likely struck in this particular hangar. Now let's give you a couple of detailed images of this hangar, because let's go back to the previous page, please. This is really, really significant, because this is what the hangar looked like before the attack took place, and this is what it looked like post the attack taking place. It is believed, according to the Air Force chief, that there was a Pakistani radar aircraft, an AWACS aircraft, which actually went in over here. It taxied into this, and let's fix the focus on this particular shot. Went in over here, and it was destroyed by an Indian attack. Let's go through the next couple of images as well. This is Jacobabad. This is particularly significant. It is over here that it is believed that F-16s under maintenance were destroyed by the Indian Air Force. A massive hit, this as important and as impressive as the Bholari image which we saw earlier on. So let's go again to the other couple of images. This is Sukur. It's a UAV hub. There was a radar installation which was struck. But perhaps more importantly, this area which has been flattened is where there was a hangar for drones, large drones presumably of the Pakistan Air Force, which was taken out. So the Air Force Chief talking about a lot of these targets. But what we can do at this stage is listen in to what the Air Force Chief, Air Chief Marshal AP Singh has had to say.
The SAGW systems, mostly from, I'm talking about fighter aircraft are from S-400. We have at least 5 fighters confirmed kills and 1 large aircraft, which could be either an Elint aircraft or an AWNC aircraft, which was taken out at a distance of about 300 kilometers. This is the actually largest ever recorded surface-to-air kill that we can talk about. And apart from, of course, this, there are a large number of UAVs, drones, there are some of the missiles which have fallen in our territory. We have recovered a lot of wreckage from this, which now is being studied so that we can make out what did they do, where were they launched from, what route did they follow, what kind of system do they have, whether they have, what I mean to say, what generation those systems belong to, what all features do they have. So that study is going on, and it is going on even in coordination with DRDO.
There was very clear political will, very clear directions which were given to us, and there were no kind of restrictions which were put on it. There have been talks about, was there any restriction, were you kept constrained? If there were any constraints, they were self-made. We, the forces, decided what will be our rules of engagement. We, the forces, decided what will be the escalation ladder that we want to ride on. We decided how we want to control the escalation. So I want to make it very clear, there were no, I repeat, no restrictions on us. Full freedom was given to us to plan and execute. I must say that, that our attacks have been calibrated because we wanted to be mature about it. A little bit on that I'll come to later. There was synchronization between forces. All 4 of us, CDS, the 3 chiefs. I must say here that the post of CDS has made a difference there. He was there always to get us together, discuss things out, iron things out. NSA played a very, very big role, in getting all the other agencies and forces together.
I'm joined now by my colleague Shiv Arur, also by Air Marshal Anil Khosla, Angad Singh, a defence expert, very well known as an air power expert, Group Captain Ajay Ahlawat, and Lieutenant General Rakesh Sharma. I'd like to thank you all very much for being with us. Shiv, let me come to you first. That last statement by the Air Force Chief which we saw, where he said that there was no restraint, he did things the way he wanted. How significant is that remark in the context of what we've seen recently in Parliament?
Well, given that the Indian Air Force Chief is a man who is well known to call a spade, he has frequently disturbed and upset the status quo. He has, quite often and in our recent memory, rubbed the system and establishment the wrong way. I would believe what he says. This is a man who has demonstrated that he doesn't really care about ecosystems and and troll armies and narratives and things like that. And this sounded to me very much like a soldier calling it out. He was quite rueful about having to convince our own people. He spoke very much like a man in blue. He was talking about how having to convince our own people was something that occupied the Air Force's time in the past. He was talking about Balakot. And this time he talked about, no matter what people seem to be suggesting, and he very sort of ruefully said everyone seems to have an opinion, but it seemed like it was the right time for him to come out and say this entire suggestion that his hands were tied or the Air Force's hands were tied was ridiculous, that there was a tactical framework in which the Air Force was acting. No Air Force, certainly not the Indian Air Force, is going to go in with all its air power on display from day one itself. Were any aircraft shot down? Sure, this has been suggested in the past as well. You've reported it as well. But as far as the Air Force's actions are concerned, I think he's made it very clear that there was no question of hands being tied, any political restraint. On the contrary, he said there was total political will and freedom of operations given to the Air Force today.
Shiv, there's an interesting tidbit of information which has come in, which we didn't discuss earlier on in the day. Shiv and I have been talking about this all day. Let me bring in Air Marshal Khosla on this to a specific question on whether the Akash surface-to-air missile system or the MRSAM surface-to-air missile system was actually used. Those are also in India's arsenal. The chief actually said that no, it never got down to that because the S-400s knocked down whatever they had to. How significant has the addition of the MRSAM? Let me put that to Air Marshal Anil Khosla. How significant is the addition of the S-400 to the Indian Air Force?
Yeah, Vishnu, Chief, actually I attended the talk in the morning today, and relating to your specific question of what he mentioned was the air defense system, the whole ecosystem of air defense, we call it integrated air defense system, worked very well. The radars as well, all the weapons of different ranges, they worked in very well. And of course, he praised the S-400 as a game changer, and he brought out, like you also covered, that aircraft was shot down by S-500, and a sort of a record of a big aircraft being shot down at almost 300 kilometers. As far as MRSAM and S-4 Akash system is concerned, he mentioned about them also that they performed very well, and they were instrumental in utilizing some of the long-range vectors and which were thrown at us from Pakistan side. So he praised the entire AD system as such, and he made specific mention for Akash and S-400 and MRSAM as well. Okay.
Angad, in terms of what we are now hearing, 6 Pakistani aircraft, including an AWACS platform, knocked down, how does this turn the entire narrative on its head?
I think, Vishnu, it's a welcome piece of information. And I personally think the AWACS skill is the most important. Manned tactical aircraft always suffer in skirmishes like this, and I expect it to do so. So a welcome piece of information, but I still think that I hesitate to use the word irrelevant, but certainly less important in the grand scheme of things, because OCA, offensive counter air, is still the holy grail of air operations. Neutralizing enemy air power on the ground before you even have to face it in the air. That's the holy grail of air power, of the application of air power. And the Indian Air Force has already comprehensively demonstrated that in May, and dominated the OCA landscape, hitting all its targets, all the bases that the Air Chief mentioned, while Pakistan was unable to hit a single target on our side of the border.
In fact, Air Marshal Khosla, let's talk a little bit about that offensive air power. Where the Indian Air Force took out not just hangars and in the process destroyed aircraft to the ground, but also for the first time we are seeing some new images of strikes on radar installations. There were several, and let's have the images up on our screen. How significant would those be?
Yeah, so Vishnu, like Chief brought out and he summed it up that almost 6 radars, big and small, were attacked, 2 command and control centers were attacked, 3 hangars were attacked, 2 runways were attacked. So, and he said all the airfields were attacked from north, south, east to west. And what he mentioned was, which is rightly we also discussed earlier, that the message was very, very clear. And it was not that one airfield was decimated totally and all the target systems, which I call it, on the airfield were destroyed on one particular airfield. Here the message was very clear that we are attacking all your airfields. We can hit you wherever you are. Number 2, by attacking different types of targets at different places, from hangars to command and control center, even underground installations, the message was that we can hit every type of target and wherever it is located. And that, I think, message went strength 5, and that's when I think Pakistan realized that the damage can be extensive, and that's when they called for halting the operations.
Shiv, why did the Air Chief make these remarks now? Why did he not make them before, let's say, the Parliament session? Shiv, can you hear me? All right, I'll come back to Shiv in a moment, but Group Captain Ahlawat, how would you look at that, the timing of these remarks?
Well, the timing is significant. Amongst various things the chief said, he essentially said, don't look at the story, look at the message. The message is the story, that we could hit Pakistan across the length and the breadth. PAF was hiding on the night of 9th and 10th. If this information had come a little bit earlier, it would have made a significant difference to the narrative battle, as Angad said. It is important now. It is very important to people who study air power, but it is less important in the narrative war. This lecture was planned on this date. I mean, Chief would speak at the opportunity given to him. It is my reading that if these things had come out a couple of days earlier, it would have taken up some more time in Parliament when the subject of Op Sindur was discussed. But my narrow point before we move on is that all of us have been saying for a while, lie has speed and truth has endurance. So finally, the truth is emerging. We all believed it all along. And after the chief has spoken, I think he'll put the whole debate to rest now.
Shiv, the timing of these remarks, I find that really interesting. This chief appear to be under any pressure whatsoever. He could have said this on day one. He chose not to.
After Operation Sindur, Vishnu, and I'm sure everyone will agree with me, if you want to ascribe a certain motive to a timing of what is being said, and if you look hard enough, you will be able to ascribe that motive, no matter what that action is. So for the air chief, it's a bit of a sitter, isn't it? It's right in the middle of Parliament. He's banged out these specifics as far as how many aircraft were actually killed. This has happened right after the Sindur debate, and therefore there are these aspects which can be used to suggest that there is a specificity beyond just the LM Katre memorial lecture to which the Air Force chief is responding to. I don't think so. I think the Air Force must have its reason not having put this in.
Shiv, we are losing your line. I'll come back to you in a moment. Let me go across to General Rakesh Sharma. General, we keep talking about this narrative war. That's all very well. That's how things play out on social media now. People decide winners and losers on social media, messages. Some are fabricated, some are not fabricated. But in terms of the actual war fighting, because this was a war, I mean, if you were hitting targets 100 kilometers in Pakistani Punjab, then it is a war. Simple as that. Yeah. At the end of the day, forget the narrative. India won Op Sindur. That's the key message, right?
Thank you, Vishnu, for inviting me. And yes, you're right. It's a key message that we had the power to do what we wanted to do in the air as also on the ground, which was proven in these 88 hours or something. What has come out today is something to be proud of, and proud of the Air Force of what they have achieved. Having said that, the issue that you raised about narrative. See, there are narratives. Narratives are lies and truths and half-truths. But this is a truth. This is a truth which is known to us from the day one. If we launched 6 S-400 missiles, we knew we launched a missile. If the missile was a dud, it would have fallen down on the ground. If it had not hit a target, it would have fallen down on the ground. And the Pakis would have made immense amount of noise, like we made a noise about finding a PL-15 near Batinda or somewhere like that. So Pakistani didn't make a noise that we found a missile, which means obviously the missiles found their target, hit the enemy aircraft, and aircraft would have gone down. And, naturally, there's no narrative involved here. This was a truth that needs to be said. Now, like most countries in the world, the Air Forces also rely on RNAW or their CIA or other agencies to get the confirmed kill. When they get confirmed kill, they actually say that this has been truth, this is the truth. But on day one, they start saying that something has been achieved. President Trump came up and said, okay, we fired GBU-57s, we hit the pinpoint targets and hit it. But the US Air Force did not make a mention as what has been hit. In all questions being asked from the combined chief, they said, okay, look, we will hold the horses till the time the CIA says that they have been hit. We may have been waiting for an RNAW confirmation that may have taken 3 months now to confirm, yes, they have been hit. And
I asked the Americans this question. I filed a Freedom of Information Act. It's a legal process in the United States. They didn't deny it. They directed me to another agency. I sent 2 emails, with the second one being a reminder to those agencies. They didn't come back. So there was no denial. And I find that interesting. Angad, would you like to come in on this? Unlike in the case of Balakot, where the Americans actually did, through a journalist in fact, come out with a report saying that no, all the Pakistani F-16s were intact. Nothing of that sort has happened here.
That's exactly right, Vishnu. I think I think anyone trying to do a full accounting of Pakistani air assets at this point will come up short. Whether they were destroyed on the air, in the air or on the ground, is immaterial. That they have lost hardware in this skirmish, and frankly, kill verification takes time in some cases, particularly in this one. I know General Sharma mentioned that if the missile is launched and you've seen the blip disappear on your scope and you don't find the wreckage of the missile, it's a good bet that the target's been destroyed, but you still want to go a step further. And historically, the Indian Air Force has always had fairly high standards for issuing kill claims. There are a lot of pilots in past wars who were not given credit for kills. You interviewed one of them, Flight Lieutenant Alfred Cook from 65. And Balakot was similar. You and I were both at that event where they showed us the Pakistani aircraft disappearing from the radar scope and the ESM pickup disappearing. Look, every Air Force, every country will have different standards for declaring a kill, and ours tend to be fairly tight, and some other countries, such as Pakistan, tend to be fairly loose. And so that's probably why it's just taken 3 months for us to formally issue these claims, even though, again, as General Sharma said, they've been floating around since May.
Let's cue up that picture of Balakot. If my director can just cue up that picture of Balakot and keep it ready, I'll come to that. In fact, it's there, right on the screen. And I wanted to ask that question on this to Air Marshal Khosla. The image on the left is an image which I had actually found. I had located among the satellite imagery which I was going through. And I had passed it on to those, in the loop. And then they passed, and it was with the Air Force. And the Air Force had consistently argued that, no, Vishnu, this is great because this is actually evidence of the penetration of Spice 2000 weapons, right? But then nobody seemed to buy that. Today, the Air Force chief said that in 2019 we had a problem. Nobody accepted what we were saying, but we had a lot of evidence, including human intelligence, to show that we hit that Pakistani site. The image on the right is also an image which was released today. That is the Muridke. Let's have that up full screen, please. And that image is actually interesting. Let's have it full screen, please. That image is interesting because it actually shows a single dot, right, inside the roof or on the roof. And the one on the left, which was Balakot in 2019, it has those 3 dots as well. If you look at it, you'd need to look 10 times before knowing what exactly it is. But the point the Air Force chief was mentioning is that in the case of penetrator weapons, you don't blow up the entire thing. So Air Marshal Khosla, this is interesting. We have other pictures of Muridke, so we know we hit. In the case of Balakot in 2019, we didn't have those. But this is how weapon systems operate. It's not necessarily a big bang as people expect.
Yeah, Vishnu, you brought a very valid point, and Air Chief also mentioned, the ghost of Balakot has been laid to rest. And we knew exactly in the whole camp, at that time, Jaish-e-Mohammed camp on Jabbar Top, each building we knew what it houses, where are the 300 trained terrorists are residing, where the trainers are residing, where is the top lot when they come, which is the visiting room where they stay. All those details we knew, and accordingly the targets were selected, and we knew exactly how many weapons are being targeted at which building. And this picture which you are bringing out very rightly, the weapon it's a very, very small hole. It just goes, penetrates, and then depending on the effect, what you need, you select that weapon. And this weapon penetrates, making a small hole and then causes a devastating effect inside, which has been proven in Op Sindur also. Unfortunately for us, we didn't have the satellite pictures during the Balakot because of the clouding which came up. And second unfortunate part, not unfortunate, it is a reality because we chose a target which was on a hilltop and the Pakistan civilian population was not allowed there. Like in Op Sindur, we got a lot of information from the videos from Pakistan itself. As far as the internal damage is concerned, people going inside these buildings and giving you videos, which were not available during Balakot.
Air Marshal, let me ask you this question. I don't for a moment doubt what the chief has said. He said it, it's on record, it's his credibility, and so I'm not questioning that. But there will be those people who say that where's the evidence of all of these kills? How would anybody respond to that?
No, you're talking about Balakot or you're talking
I'm talking about
Sindur?
now.
Yeah. So, as I said, Chief also mentioned that we have the satellite pictures, we have the videos from the weapons which went in, some of them, and also we have the satellite pictures of before and after. And also, most of the claims which have been there, the ground videos which have come out in the social media are indicating
No,
that,
sir, I'm talking about air-to-air kills.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, okay. I mistook it from the air to ground.
No.
So
Air to grounds are sorted, sir. He didn't need to even touch upon that topic if he didn't want to.
So air to air kill, I mean, he didn't elaborate rightfully, the exact details that who took on what and what happened and which weapon took on which aircraft and how many aircraft, whether Chinese made or the otherwise were shot down. All those details were not given and not rightly speaking, not needed also to my mind. Yeah, so now actually this is the first time I think Air Chief has spoken. So now this debate will open up, and like in Balakot, it will go in different directions in the next few days. And so far we are just reporting on Indian media, and very soon next I think 2 weeks the social media as well as the foreign news channels will jump in, and this topic is going to go in different directions. That's what I am expecting.
We also, in terms of evidence, do have missile tracks. Each of the missiles which were released by an S-400 would have a certain track. That track would be recorded, and that's the evidence which we have. You would see a target and the target would disappear, and that's the evidence which clearly the Indian Air Force is relying on, right?
Yeah, plus digital signatures of the clips which are there. In the integrated network now, when you're sitting in the ops room, it gives you a certain, gives you whatever the degree of percentage of the accuracy, but it gives you a digital imprint also that this is expected to be this particular aircraft. That also is there. So digital footprints are also available.
Okay. Angad, let me come to you next. China operates the S-400. India operates the S-400. China was helping Pakistan all along. Evidently, that help wasn't good enough to prevent the loss of their aircraft to Indian S-400s. Your thoughts?
Vishnu, we are all victims of physics. Some things you can't defend against. If I can see you, I can shoot you. It's that simple.
Okay. No, but keep talking, Angad. Don't restrict yourself to one answer.
Well, you have this surveillance radar, you have the engagement radar. You can look out to 400, 500 kilometers with the S-400 system, and you have these missiles that can reach out to publicly known ranges are in excess of 300 kilometers. Obviously, the Pakistan Air Force is playing it safe. We saw that again, both in the air, on the ground, keeping at a distance. After the 7th night, 8th morning, they essentially kept at a distance in the air, a distance that they hoped was sufficient. It didn't work. They obviously miscalculated, and the S-400s found their marks 6 times as per the air chief. And as did the air to surface missiles that were launched in the following 48 hours.
Group Captain Alawat, let's talk a little bit about some of the other systems which were used by the Indian Air Force. Obviously, it's not just a missile, but it's the entire radar setup of the Indian Air Force. Whether it was, and it's networked to a large extent. We had a good idea of the air picture on the other side of the international boundary. How did that play a key part? The fact that we've got something called the IACCS, it's data linked and network, a system of sensors, which actually enables our warfighters on the ground to know what the aerial threat is. How is this a key part of operations?
Well, the IACCS works something like, eyes and ears. You get to see something, and through your ESM sensor, you get to hear something. And that information is conveyed to your hands, which form a punch and, deliver those effects. So all the networked sensors played a key role from the smallest to the biggest. Even civilian radars are interlinked, or they share information with the IACCS. With the Akash Tir that integrates army radars, feeding information to IACCS, it became all the more potent. So we could see, almost everything that went up in the air. We could target things that we wanted to target. And the situational awareness in the ops room was far, far better this time.
Let's just listen into what the Air Force Chief had to say about the use of the Russian S-400 missile system. Let's take a look.
Their aircraft tried to penetrate our defenses. Our air defense systems have done a wonderful job. The S-400 system, which we had recently bought, has been a game changer. The range of that system has really kept their aircraft away from their weapons like, those long-range glide bombs that they have. They have not been able to use any one of those because they have not been able to penetrate